Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach, Shiur Torah, Baruch Hashem. We are continuing our series, our MUSSAR Pirkei Avot series, but new location. We're here at Erev Rav in Aventura, Florida, the Bukharian shul. Baruch Hashem, from my experience for the last 5 years of doing shiurim, we get to meet a lot of different people. And one thing I could tell you, I mean, again, I haven't spoken to everybody, but one thing I could tell you from a little bit of experience for me and also from learning from my rabbis, Rav Ephraim, Rav Mizrahi, Shiur, is that the Bukharian people in our generation have an extraordinary amount of siyata dishmaya. And it's not the first time I'm saying it. I said it a lot of times. That they love the truth. Where even the ones that I've met in different places, in New York, in Arizona, here in Florida, even if they don't do it, even if they don't keep, they accept it. It's like, oh, it's true. What you're saying is true. I'm just not ready for it yet. I'll get to it, or something like that. There's very few. I mean, I only had the experience of only meeting one. That was mamash a rasha. The rest of them, Baruch Hashem, are very, very good-hearted people. Very good-hearted people, and that one that's a rasha, I don't believe he's really a Bukharian. I think he's like intermarried or something, the guy. No, very special people, very, very warm-hearted people, and it's good. Listen, we need it. We need as much as possible, and the reason why is because in today's world we have unfortunately, the Chachamim said it already at the time of the Gemara. Moshe Rabbeinu already told us about it. Unfortunately, he was the first witness to it, which is the Erev Rav, the Erev Rav of the generation. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai says in the Zohar Kadosh that before Biat Mashiach, before the Mashiach arrives, we're going to suffer a lot from the Erev Rav. We're always going to suffer from the Erev Rav since the beginning of time. The Dor HaMabul had Erev Rav in there. Dor HaMabul had Erev Rav. Had the original Erev Rav. And every generation, since the beginning of time, Hashem has been putting, unfortunately, this wicked people, wicked neshamot, get reincarnated to create trouble. Where do these neshamot come from? The Gemara Masechet Chagiga says that Hashem wrote the Torah, and then looked into the Torah, and then created the world. Not the opposite like some people think. Some people think Hashem created the world. And then he decided, you know what, this world can't survive without Torah, so let me take a few minutes to write a Torah. No. Because people have a ideology, unfortunately, that's upside down. Thinking that people are whether Jewish or non-Jewish, people are the ikar. People are the most important part of the creation. It's wrong. It's not true. Most important part is the Torah. Now, because Hashem chose Am Yisrael, the Zohar Kadosh says that Hashem combined himself with Am Yisrael and the Torah. All of them became one. Meaning, one can't live without the other in essence. But the point is, in reality, is that if Am Yisrael does not follow the Torah, we have a very serious problem. And the Purim that's coming up tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem, we'll talk a little bit about it to give you a few chidushim that we haven't talked about before. Unfortunately, part of the reason of why we have this near tragedy, near Holocaust that happened over 2,000 years ago, was because partly of Erev Rav. Erev Rav are not always obvious, like they were at Mount Sinai, where they were worshiping an idol, the golden calf, and so obviously, no, these people, there's something wrong with them. They're not even Jewish, they're fake conversions. No, it's not always obvious like that. It's not always obvious like that. The Gemara says that Hashem created the Torah before the world. When before the world? 974 generations before he created the world, he wrote the Torah with black fire on top of white fire. And then after he wrote the Torah, he saw that the Torah has rules. So he created the world according to those rules. So he said, the Torah has the rule, the law of kosher. So I have to make things, I have to create things that are kosher. And in order for people to know that it's kosher, I have to make non-kosher. So I'll make kosher animal, a cow, a deer, a lamb, kosher animal. And I'll also make non-kosher animal, a cat, a dog, a lion, and so on and so forth. I'll make a kosher fish with fins and scales. And I'll make a non-kosher. I'll make a shark. So people can tell there's a difference. There's also a law in the Torah that talks about taurat mishpacha, family purity. Which just on Sunday, anyone that didn't watch the Shiur, definitely one of the Shiurim that every Jew in this generation needs to watch, even if you hate me. Because it has nothing to do with me, it has to do with what we believe. And we find out a lot of information that a lot of the things that we were brought up believing are simply wrong. I was born in Israel. I was there till I was 10 years old. Love the country. I can't wait to go back. I learned Zionism in college. But the reality is what we believe is Zionism versus what Zionism really is are two different worlds. And people need to know that Zionism and its purity is the Erev Rav. Zionism in its purest form is the Erev Rav. Why? Just like its founders say, Zionism and Judaism are not the same. In fact, they are polar opposites. Zionism begins after Judaism is destroyed. That's what they say. That's what they write. In their books, in their letters, and so on. Now, we didn't know this. Even though I took courses in college, in a very prestigious college about Zionism, I read a book, maybe, 1,500 pages. Not a single time did it say any of this stuff. Why? Because this is a combination of manipulation, propaganda, and so on, of what they want people to believe. So, going back to the Torah, Hashem created a world where you had rules, and one of the rules was that you have to have taurat mishpacha, family purity. Now, we read on Sunday a statistic that came out about a year and a half ago, that only 58% of modern Orthodox Jews admit themselves that they strictly keep taurat mishpacha. This is, I don't know if you actually understand how much of a tragedy this is. This is the type of tragedy that if anyone that has a little bit of understanding, anyone that runs a keilah, anyone that actually is in charge of a keilah, has 100, 200, 500, 1,000 people, whatever it is, should literally take their clothes and start ripping them. Wear a sack like Mordechai Yehudi. Why? Because if he has a keilah, that means that members of his keilah are part of that statistic, most likely. Means 40% of the kids coming out of the keilah potentially are from Nida. This is a tragedy. Gemara says that Rabbi Akiva and two of his students, we believe it was Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi maybe, they see some kids, and one of the kids is known to be a nasty little kid. You know, sometimes you meet these kids, they're just, they're cute, but then sometimes you see there's a rotten apple. A lot of kids, most kids are cute, they just like trouble. But sometimes as a kid, he's not really a kid, he's like an adult in a kid's body, just rotten. Once in a while you get to meet those people. And apparently this was one of them. It's one of these kids that's just rotten. And one of the Chachamim says, he probably came from a Nida. That's why his neshama is a Baal Mun. His neshama is defective. His neshama is defective because he came from a Nida. Why? Nida, a man touches his wife when she's Nida, even more so. Not just intimate. I'm talking about even if he touches her hand. It's Isur Karet. But if he's intimate with her, Hashem Yirachem. Hashem Yirachem, how many fasts he has to do? According to Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, he has to fast, he has to fast almost 100 times Just do tshuva one time. Just do tshuva one time. For one time he touched his wife. 82 times. 82 times he has to fast. Meaning he has to die pretty much. Obviously he could do something instead of fasting, which is give money, replacement of the meal, 82 meals, but that's for one time. One time he touched his wife. What is he going to do when she gets pregnant? So now a kid that comes out of a nidah is a defective kid. He has a defective neshama. Doesn't mean he's guaranteed to be bad. It just means that he's going to have a very, very big obstacle. A very big obstacle, more than the normal. More than a normal. So one of the Tanaim, that Ruach HaKodesh, says, oh, comes. This kid, for sure, came from Nida. The other one says, no, it's worse. This one came mamzer. What's mamzer? Mamzer is the woman cheated on her husband and had a baby with somebody else. It's not a husband. That's mamzer. A lot of people think mamzer is a bastard, like the American definition, which is a child out of wedlock. No, that's not a mamzer. It's not good, but it's not a mamzer. Mamzer meaning is that the Jewish woman, is married, but she had a baby with somebody else, not a husband. That mamzer is a tragedy. Torah says Hashem will not let his seed live. Hashem has to destroy all the mamzerim. That's why they're only allowed to marry each other. Only allowed to marry mamzer, allowed to marry a mamzer or a convert. Why mamzer allowed to marry a mamzer or a convert? Allowed to marry mamzer, so everybody knows these are mamzerim. But if he's righteous and he wants to get out of this, he wants his descendants, he wants his kids to get out of this horrible lineage, he has a way out, which is through converts. But they're never allowed to marry a natural-born Jew. What is it the kid's fault that his parents messed up, or his mom specifically messed up? If you think about the body being here for the first time ever, then yeah, you're right, there's something wrong with this equation. But obviously we all know, the Arizal teaches us, the Zohar Kadosh teaches us, the Gemara teaches us, the Tanakh teaches us, all over the Torah we all know that there's Gilgulim, there's reincarnations. And nobody's here for the first time. We've all been here before. Which means that whoever comes here as a mamzer, that's obviously part of their tikkun. They did something bad enough in their previous carnation to come back as this. Maybe they were the person that caused the child to become a mamzer in their previous carnation. Maybe they were the mom that cheated on the husband. Maybe they were the husband, the guy that cheated with the married woman. Who knows what they were? They were the shatchan, the friend. Who knows? We know that midah keneged midah has been around and it will always be around. So, one of the Tanaim says, this kid is a mamzer, which is worse than nidah. Rabbi Akiva says, you're both wrong. This kid is not only a mamzer, he's also Baal nidah. He's both. Say, Rabbeinu, how you know? How you know? Because I'll prove it to you. Rabbi Akiva, prove it to you. Like people ask me after the shiur sometimes, they send me an email. Said, listen, you mentioned 75 sources on the shiur, but there was one time you said something and it didn't mention the source. How could I take it seriously? Well, 75 sources you could take seriously. The one I forgot to mention, you're not taking it seriously. Okay, at least follow the other 75. So anyway, Rabbi Akiva had much better midot than me. So he says, I'll prove it to you. We'll go to his mother. They go to his mother. She sees 3 Gdolei Ador arrive at a house. Yes. What are you doing here? I have a proposition for you, Rabbi Akiva says to her. I promise you that if you tell me the truth, tell us the truth, I promise you, I'm taking you to Olam Haba. I'm taking you to Olam Haba. Regardless of what sins you made, I'm taking you to Olam Haba. You start doing Shuvah, obviously, I'm taking you to Olam Haba. It's a good deal. Gdol Ador tells you I'm signing off, you go into Olam Haba, I'll take it. He says, okay, yes, Kvod Harav, what do I need? He says, tell me, your son, did you have it not only when you were nida, but also with someone that wasn't your husband? He says, yes. Both. Both. That's why you say Chacham is better than Navi. Chacham is better than a prophet. So, we see today, Rabotai Yekarim, that the religious world has a lot more problems than we can imagine. The secular world has a lot of problems, but it doesn't imagine them because most non-religious people don't really think there's a problem. But in reality, that is the religious people's fault. If Mashiach comes right now, and many people don't survive because they haven't done tshuva, it'll only be, or primarily be, the religious people's fault. And the reason why is because the religious people know the truth, or at least the few of them that do, and if you don't share it with your brothers and sisters because you have monetary interest, or you have political interest, or whatever it is the case, that you don't tell your brothers and sisters the truth, then obviously you're at fault for them perishing. Now, this is not the only generation that's ever had this. This is something that's been going on since the beginning. Now, Hashem created the world 974 generations before. He created the Torah 974 generations before He created the world. And the Chachamim asked in the Gemara Masechet Megillah, okay, what does it mean 974 generations? What, did He actually wait? After He wrote the Torah, He just waited there with nothing to do for 974 generations, a few thousand years? Wow, who's going to tell Him what to do? What does it mean? You have to ask. Gemara says, Hashem knew there's going to be 974 generations of people without Torah. The world will not survive. They will all be Rashaim, Arurim, Gruim, terrible people, evil. World will not survive. We'll have to destroy it over and over again. Not just the generation of Noach. It will just happen every generation. 10 generations from Adam HaRishon to Noach, destroyed the world, start again. It won't be that way. It will be literally 97 times. Says, for what? She says, what am I going to do? I'm just going to take a little bit of every one of these generations, all of these Rishaim that were supposed to come to the world, instead of putting them for 974 generations in a row until I finally bring the Torah, no, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little bit of them, every one of those generations, I'm going to throw it in a new generation. Like seasoning. A little bit of this Rishaim in this generation, a little bit of Rishaim in this generation, a little bit of Rishaim in this generation, like seasoning. Why? If I put them all once, the world will not survive. I have to destroy it again. So I'll put a little bit in every generation. And unfortunately, Rabotai Yekarim, the Zohar Kadosh says that we are going to suffer the worst type of Erev Rav in the last generation before Mashiach comes. Because they're going to be in power, they're going to be very powerful, and they're also going to look much more religious than you and I. So, with that being said, we have to ask ourselves, how do we do the exact opposite? You know, you can't go fight. Because number one, you don't know who's Erev Rav, who's not. Number two, that's not going to solve anything. Why? You fight with one of them, you insult one of them, and 5 other ones are born. So what do? You have to first and foremost understand that Tum'ah, impurity, is only defeated with Kedusha. So the first thing first, a person needs to rebuke themselves. Needs to give mussar to themselves. Needs to teach themselves, learn themselves, do themselves, become a Tzadik or a Tzadikah themselves. Don't start going and tell people you should keep Shabbat and you're not keeping Shabbat. Don't start telling people you should put a mishpacha and you're walking around with a wig. It's the biggest joke in the world. They have this one particular woman, 3-4 years, that have been talking about wigs and so on. She tells me, yes, you're right, the wigs are terrible. I tell everybody about modesty, you have to be modest, you have to be modest, you have to be modest. I said, wow, this woman, I wish she was a man. She'd start telling and giving shurim, everything. It's it's great. Talks about modesty all the time. Every recording she sends me, or text or email, whatever it is, always, yeah, I told this one, I told that one, I told this one, I told that one, that you should, be modest, and you should take off the wig. It's not good. Rabbi Reuven says this, and Rabbi Reuven says that, like I'm the Baba Sali. Rabbi Reuven says this, and Rabbi Reuven says that. Guess what? She wears a wig. It's like the biggest joke in the world. She wears a wig and she tells people to take off the wig. I don't understand what kind of logic this is. No, but mine is like synthetic. Mine is synthetic, so it's not the same as yours. In their eyes, it's 100% the same. In their eyes, it's 100% the same. They don't care. They just think you can't afford the real thing. So you bought it from the carnival. You bought the synthetic one. They think it's the same thing. You can't wear a wig and tell people stop wearing wigs. You're making a joke of the Torah. You're making a joke of yourself. And by the way, it's not going to work. So first things first, a person needs to know that he needs to become a Tzadik. She needs to become a Tzadikit. Tzadika. How do we do it? Well, the Mishnah, of course, always tells us what to do and how to do it, but we have also a connection with Purim. We have a connection with Purim. Tomorrow is Purim. We're all going to hear the story of Megillat Esther, an extraordinary story of Ashgacha Pratit, how Hashem, while hiding himself, he made himself as obvious as can be for anyone that's paying attention. And was miracle after miracle, but in reality, there was no miracle that came for free. Every miracle had major sacrifice take place in order for it to happen. Parashat Vayikra, that we read last week, it says that in the second pasuk, Adam ki yakriv mikem, korban la'Adonai mina behema mina bakar. It says when a man among you brings an offering to Hashem from animals, from cattle and from the flock, you shall bring your offering. So this pasuk, you could read it and like the Christians read it, which is just literally that Hashem is saying to Moshe Rabbeinu from the tent of meeting, tell the children of Israel, tell them that when a person brings a korban, it brings a sacrifice, he has specific rules that he needs to do. That's it. That's how the Christians read it. Literally, like a Harry Potter book. Same thing. Or you can be a chacham. You look at what the sages said, you'll see it's a world of difference. Why? Because Jewish people don't look at things based on the wall in front of us. We look at things as what's inside the wall. What's on the right side of the wall? What's on the left side of the wall? What's on top of the wall? What's on the bottom of the wall? What's under the wall? What's behind the wall? Why is there a wall? That's how Jews look at it. So our Jewish sages say, first and foremost, Hashem is giving us today instructions. He says right before Purim, a week before Purim, you're going to read Parashat Vayikra. You should know, Adam ki yakriv mikem. A person is going to bring something from what? Mikem. What's mikem? From yourself. Hashem does not want you to bring the costume. Hashem doesn't want you to bring your personality. He wants you to bring you. You get closer to Hashem. When? Purim. Use Purim as an opportunity to get closer to Hashem. Why did Hashem create you at all? To bring you closer to Hashem. You are the korban. Bring yourself. Hashem doesn't care about the cow. You bring yourself to Hashem. With a life of mesirut nefesh, self-sacrifice, where you're going to utilize every single tool that Hashem has given you and will give you in order to bring yourself closer to Him. That's fulfilling the pasuk, first couple of words. But then it says something very, very interesting. It says, by the way, in regards to this sacrifice, don't forget, there was a sacrifice. It's still a sacrifice. It still talks about a cow. Still talks about a cow. What are we going to do with the rest of the pasuk? It says, Yakriv mikem karban laHashem, mina be'ema, mina bakar. This sacrifice for Hashem, it's going to come from cattle, from the flock. Be'ema, mina bakar. Be'ema isn't the animals, cattle, but bakar is also. Why is Hashem telling us the same thing twice? Technically 3 times. The korban we know has to be an animal, but technically you could say, yeah, but the korban could be a bird, it could be all types of other things. It doesn't have to be a cattle, it doesn't have to be a cow, it doesn't have to be a sheep. It could be other things also. Okay, so the korban we finished with. But then after that you're telling me, bring the be'ema. Be'ema is what? Be'ema is the cow. And make sure it's a bakar. Wait, hold on a second. You just told me over here 2 words ago. The Chachamim explained something genius. It says, remember when Hashem said, Adam ki yakriv mikem, that you bring yourself as a sacrifice to Hashem. When he mentions the behemah, he mentions it first, and then the bakar second. Why? Clearly, the behemah is not talking about a cow. It's talking about you. If you're going to get closer to Hashem, don't be a behemah. If you're going to get closer to Hashem, don't think that you're just going to follow a few mitzvot, keep a few Shabbos, and do tefillin a few times, and that's it. And you come back, you come to the shul like a behemah, like an animal. You act like an animal, you look like an animal. No, my friend. You want to bring yourself closer to eventually get to the highest level? First and foremost, don't be the behemah. Don't be an animal. Work on your midot. Work on your character traits. Then we can start talking about the bakar, the real korban. Why? If you still have bad midot, no prayer in the world is going to help you. No mitzvah in the world is going to help you. Why? The whole Torah is to fix you. To bring you closer to Hashem. But Hashem doesn't talk to behemot. Doesn't talk to animals. Doesn't talk to people that curse all day, yell all day, act like fools all day. He doesn't talk to people like that. You want to talk to Hashem? You want to get closer to Him? First and foremost, no. You need to fix yourself. What? Everything. Yeah, but I was good at this. Even that too. Why? Because you think you're good at it. Because you think you're good at it, fix that too. Why? Because most likely you're not as good as you think. Everything you get to fix. Pick something. Start with something. You can't fix everything. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, one of the Gedolei Ador in his generation, and the reviver of the MUSSAR movement. MUSSAR technically has been around since the beginning of time. Rashi says that in the Gemara Masechet Shabbat, commentary there, says that MUSSAR and Torah are synonymous. It means the same thing. MUSSAR and Torah means the same thing. Why? You see it. He shows different psukim in the Torah. Where Hashem says, we didn't listen to MUSSAR. What does it mean you didn't listen to MUSSAR? We didn't listen to the Torah. So, Rabbi Yisrael Salanter said that it's much easier for him to complete reading the entire Shas, the entire Talmud, than to fix one midah. This is a person that the Chafetz Chaim says one time when he was young, he was traveling and he stopped at a hotel. There was no pool in those days. Started at a hotel, place like an inn, the equivalent of a motel today, or an inn. And the Baal Habayit told the Chafetz Chaim, says, you know, tonight we have the Gedol Hador sleeping here. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter is sleeping here. He says, do me a favor, I want to sleep in the room right next to him. No problem. He set it up. Chafetz Chaim, sleeping in a room right next to Rabbi Yisrael Salanter. Why? Why? What is he going to do? You guys will... Listen, you want to play Monopoly? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Why do you want to sleep next door to him? He says, I wanted to know, what does the Gedol Hador do at night? Sleep, no? You sleep. That's why you're not Gedol Hador. So the Chafetz Chaim, 2 o'clock in the morning, went to see what does the Gedol Hador do at 2 o'clock in the morning. In those days, you know, the keys they had were really big holes. It was very big holes. You know, the keys in those days, you guys know what I'm talking about? Hopefully some of the people watching me on the internet are older than you. The keys in those days, you guys don't even know what keys are, you just use credit cards today. I'm talking to children. So anyway, you know what keys are? Son, you've seen the keys? So the keys in those days were big. So the hole in the door was big, which means that it was taking like a little tiny window. You could see what's going on inside. So the Chafetz Chaim says, I went and I looked to see what does the Gedol Hador, Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, do at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I saw the Gedol Hador sitting on the floor, crying hysterical, saying, someone who does not learn Torah, going over a Mishnah in Avot, over and over again the whole night. Someone who does not learn Torah has no share of the world to come. Someone who does not learn Torah has no share of the world to come. Over and over and over and over again the whole night. That's what he was doing. That's what the Gedol Hador was doing. He was crying. Why? Because he knew in his level, in our level, in his level, apparently, I don't know. He says he's not learning enough Torah. I don't know what that means. A violin to learn what he learned in one day the whole life. So, Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, this very same Rabbi Yisrael, says that him that he works on himself, him that we know from eyewitnesses, that worked on himself non-stop, says that it's much easier to complete the entire Shas, the entire Gemara, than to fix one character trait. Now, if you do Daf Yomi, which has become very, very famous over the last less than 100 years or so, 100 years, by Rabbi Shapira, and fantastic, brilliant idea. Every 7 years, there's a group, I think at this point, maybe they're up to 25, 35, 40,000 people. Read the entire Shas every 7 years. They complete it together. At the events, there's many more people, but I don't think every one of them finishes the entire Shas every 7 years. But they read one daf per day. They call Daf Yomi. One daf per day. And mathematically, if you do it that way, every 7.5 years approximately, you will complete all of the Shas. It's fantastic thing to take on, to do, to achieve it. But that still puts the person that does it at a person where he's good. He's standard. Doesn't put him as a status of Talmid Chacham. He's okay, he's good. He's learning, it's good. Chazak Baruch. Talmid Chacham takes less time. Depends how big he is. Someone like, for example, Rav Kanievsky, the Gedol Hador, he finishes the entire Talmud Bavli and the Yerushalmi and the Shulchan Aruch and the Zohar and a bunch of different Midrashim and several other things that I can't remember. I think the Zohar and several other things every single year, all of them. comparison to us, that's not even human. You understand? So again, it all depends. But serious Talmidei Chachamim that I know can complete the Shas in a year. One of them that I know can do it in a few months. Others can do it in a couple of years, let's say, 2 or 3 years. So it all depends. There was a celebration in, I believe, in New York. In New York, just a few weeks ago, of a young guy, 22 years old, just celebrated completing the Shas the 4th time. 4th time he completed the Shas, Baruch Hashem. 22 years old, completed the Shas 4 times. It's unbelievable. That's a person that, if he continues the way he's going, he'll become a really serious Talmid Chacham that could become one of the Gdolim, if he continues. It's not just what you did, it's what you continue doing. So Rabbi Yisrael Salanter says that to finish this entire Shas is not an easy endeavor, but it's much easier than to fix one character trait. Why? Because it's not, the character trait is not just you go, you learn an hour or 2 to finish one daf and you're finished. You finish for the day until tomorrow to get another daf. No. Daf yomi is an hour, 2 hours a day, depends on how much energy you put into each daf. Fixing the midot is the whole day. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no break, no nothing. You have to work on this midah constantly. You have to constantly have it in your mind. If, let's say, for example, you're working on anger, you have to constantly build up your emunah to understand why you're never supposed to be angry. Not like the goyim and these self-help gurus say that, no, if you're angry, just keep it to yourself. It'll go away eventually. Like a bad smell. No, my friend. That's cancer. Torah does not teach you to not get angry by not showing it. Or to hide your anger. No. Torah tells you, don't get angry. Why? You have no reason to. Because if you have real emunah in Hashem Yitbarach, you know that whatever is happening in your life is Him. The flat tire is Him. Your wife yelled at you, is Him. You got fired, it's Him. Somebody stole something from you, it's for Him. Everything is Him. If you really believe it beyond this lecture, and not just tell the stories, then guess what? You're never going to get mad for a single moment in your life. Which means that, again, doesn't mean that you're going to go from zero, from being an angry gremlin to never getting angry again overnight. It doesn't happen that way. So I told somebody the other day, good strategy. I'm telling to myself, really. You guys just happen to be here. How do you go from being gargamel of anger to not getting angry anymore? You can't go from, you can't just stop. Why? Because until now, you believed 100% it was okay to be angry. I can tell you myself, I was born on the left side of the bed. I was born angry. Baby, angry. Telling you, it's bemet. It's part of tshuva. But my whole life, I believed this is the way I was born. This is the way I'll remain. Accept me for what I am. Which is, by the way, the common belief that everyone has in the world. If you have desires for men, that's the way you are. Accept him as he is. If you're a thief, accept him as he is. He's a thief. If you're a liar, accept him as a liar. He's a liar. If you're promiscuous, accept her as promiscuous. She's promiscuous. That's a loser, animalistic mentality. But unfortunately, without Torah, you never even think like that. You think I'm angry. What do you want from my life? I'm an angry guy. Don't mess with me. Meaning, the problem is your problem, not mine. I'm just an angry guy. I was born this way. I'm telling you, I'm being nice to you. I'm telling you, I'm an angry guy, so I'm giving you disclosure. Don't mess with me. Why? I'm angry. Angry. Don't mess with me. I turn into the Hulk. Right? So if you make me angry, whose fault is it? It's your fault, right? Because I give you disclosure. Wrong. Wrong. It's my fault. If I'm angry, it's my fault. It has nothing to do with you. Of course, a person that gets angry for no reason, he needs a mental institution. He's always going to get angry because of people. People tell me, no, I only get mad when people upset me. Yeah, what else are you going to get mad for? When no one's upsetting you, then you need a mental institution, not mussar. If you're getting upset for no reason, no one upsets you, then you need a mental institution. Of course somebody upset you. So now, your whole life you will think this way. You think, listen, I'm an angry guy, therefore you should deal with it. And then one day, you get the shock of your life. Hashem Yitbarach gives you a book called the Torah. It says, by the way, you're not allowed to be angry. Why? If you're angry, I consider it as worshipping an idol. So all of the good things that you're doing, great. Chazaku Baruch. You're still going to Gehinnom for a little while though. What? All that idol worship that you did. Shem Yachem. So how do you stop? I'll give you a hint. You're not going to be able to stop overnight. And the reason why is because until now you thought it was okay. So you got used to it. And you built a world around you that also got used to it. Whoever stuck around with you knows that you're an angry guy or angry woman or whatever it is that you are. But the reality is no one likes it, including yourself. But to stop just like that is not going to happen. Even if you believe in Hashem, even if you have emunah, still there's going to be moments of weakness. So the way you got to do it is in increments. Obviously, the more you can handle, the better. But in essence, you have to do it in increments. You start off with the fact where it all depends on how angry you used to be. If you're mamash, like the Incredible Hulk character, where you start breaking stuff, you used to break stuff when you got angry, curse, scream, yell, hit people, break stuff, all that stuff. Okay, you probably should go to jail, but anyway, let's say you didn't go to jail, and you survived. Fine. What do you start with? You start off with, okay, the next time you get angry, just think about this shiur, and don't break stuff. That's it. Don't break stuff. To say don't get angry, it's not going to happen. It's wishful thinking. You're going to get angry. Why? Because there's going to be some annoying little person. It's going to annoy you, and you're going to get angry. So what are you going to say? Listen, if I can't become Moshe Rabbeinu overnight, therefore it's it's not worth it. No. Start off with don't break stuff. Don't break stuff. Get angry. Not allowed, but you're going to get angry anyway. At least don't break stuff. That's step number one. After you've achieved this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Now we have to upgrade a level. Now you're not breaking anything. You're already used to not breaking anything. But you still get angry and you curse and scream and curse and scream. Gemara says every single time you curse, on Rosh Hashanah, Hashem decided to give you an X amount of blessings. The Gemara says that even if He decided to give you blessings for 70 years, one curse can turn 70 years of blessings into 70 years of curses. Meaning He decided to give you $1 million a year for the next 70 years. Now He's going to make you lose $1 million for 70 years. Why? One curse. So now you realize, it's not worth it to curse. Not because I'm not angry, but because it's not worth it to curse. I'm angry. Okay, so step number 2, stop cursing. You're not breaking stuff already for a little while. Now, stop cursing. You're still angry, you're still yelling and screaming, but you're not cursing. You're not cursing. Step number 2. Now that you stop cursing for a little while, if you're not cursing when you're angry, most likely you're not cursing when you're not angry. Because usually curses come out when you're angry. Step number 3. You're still yelling and screaming? Stop yelling and screaming. Be like one of those people that just talks stern, but not yelling and screaming. Don't lose your mind. Don't let yourself completely lose it. Stop yelling and screaming. Once you've done that, once you realize that it's not worth it to yell and scream, the next step is to not say anything. Don't say anything. Don't react. Yes, it's very annoying, and I promise you, people are experts at being annoying. Experts. I know quite a few annoying people. And it's very, very easy to get angry at annoying people. But you getting angry at them is not going to help you at all. So stop talking. Stop reacting at all. Nothing. Zero. And if they, sometimes these people don't leave your house, they live with you. Or sometimes they're your family that come to visit. Or they're your friend or your employee. What, are you going to fire your employees every day? You're going to get divorced every day? You're going to kick your family out every day? You can't do it. But they're not going to leave. So what do? You leave. You walk away. If you can't be quiet wherever you are, and just act as like, smile with a fake smile, but they realize that you're not really happy with them, but it's like, you're not going to say anything about it though? Now, walk away. Walk away. Take a cold shower, cold water, definitely no liquor, definitely no drugs, definitely no cigarettes, none of that stuff. None of that stuff is going to help you. So all that stuff is going to do the opposite. Alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, all of these other things will make you angrier than you are. I used to think that cigarettes made me calmer. It's the complete opposite once you learn the science of it. Baruch Hashem, I quit, but the point is that now you are at a point where you're not expressing your anger. But by the way, at this point, if you stopped breaking stuff, you stopped yelling and screaming, you stopped cursing, you are getting less angry too. Because every time you do one of those other things, it makes the anger bigger. When a person yells, it's a level of anger. But if he hits something, breaks something, it's a higher level of anger because he's expressing his anger. So now a person is lowering his anger by doing that way. Then throughout this whole time, obviously, you learn more and more about emunah and about HaKadosh Baruch Hu and start paying attention to what he's doing in your life. The good, the bad, the ugly, and you start realizing how Hashem is literally monitoring every single step that's in your life, every single move that's in your life, every blink that you make, he's the one responsible for it. And you'll eventually arrive at the conclusion that not only you shouldn't get angry, because there's nothing to be angry about, but you have no right to get angry, because it's not your world. And by being angry, the reason why it's considered avodah zarah is because someone that gets angry is simply saying, the world is not operating according to my likings. Therefore, I'm angry. Well, let's reverse. Your likings, who do you think you are? You have a wrong visual here. You have a wrong understanding here of who you are. You think you're God. God says you're not God, I am. And there could only be one God. So if you think you're God, that's idol worship. You've idolized yourself. So little by little, a person can follow this step, this system, and eliminate their anger altogether. But that means that you have to work on it 24 hours a day. It doesn't take a week, it doesn't take a month, it may not even take a year or two. It may take 7 years. But if you work on it every day, you will eventually overcome it. You will eventually overcome it. And that's when you can bring the bakar, because you're no longer a behemah. Now, to be righteous, you have to first and foremost understand that there's something wrong you have to fix. But number two, you have to understand that all of the others around you that are telling you, no, you're fine. Don't listen to this guy, he's fanatic. You're perfect, honey. I love you. You're great. He doesn't know who you really are. Hashem understands you, and all that other hogwash. You should know the same thing happened in Purim. Mordechai Yehudi, one of the heads of the Sanhedrin, told Am Yisrael, you know this party that they're having at the Achashverosh's house, this celebration, we can't go there. So one of the Erev Rav told him, yeah, why can't we go there? He says, it's not kosher food. No, it's going to be kosher food there. It's not kosher environment. Hey, you said kosher food. If it was kosher environment, you should have said kosher environment first. It's kosher food, it's kosher food. People think that just because there's kosher food, that means it's a kosher party. People think that just because there's Jewish music, that means it's a Jewish event. And unfortunately, sometimes they ask the Erev Rav instead of the real Rav, can I go to this wedding that has mixed dancing? Can I go to this bar mitzvah that has mixed dancing? Can I go to this party that has Modesty? Can I go? Is it okay? They're all Jewish there. It's kosher food. But that's. Can I go? They say, yeah, I'm coming with you. And sometimes you'll see, tell people, wait, how could you go to this party? How could you go to this bat mitzvah with mixed dancing, this bar mitzvah with mixed dancing, this wedding? The Sefer Hasidim says that every time a person goes to those parties, by the way, they bring shedim with them home. They bring demons with them at home. Why? Because every one of those mixed parties, each time a person is dancing with a woman in public, they're creating shedim. Where do those shedim staying at the party? No, they go home with people. They go home with people. And then people get confused. Why they get into a fight as soon as they got home for no reason? Why so many divorces start at those parties? Why so much promiscuity starts at those parties? Why so many problems start at those parties? It didn't start at the party. It started before the party when you decided to go. You decided to go, that's the real problem. So you ask the person, listen, I thought you were religious. How did you go to this party? No, what are you talking about? Rabbi so-and-so was there. Rabbi so-and-so was there, and his wife was there, and his kids were there, and the other rabbi from the other kehillah, his friend, he was there. He tells you there was a whole table of rabbanim at this party. Says there could be whoever you want. It's still not allowed. So how could you justify it? Purim. Purim, hundreds and hundreds of rabbanim went to Achashverosh's house because there was kosher food there. They justified it because there was kosher food. They went there, and on that day, the Satan came to Hashem and said, look at this Chilul Hashem. Look at all these rabbis hanging out with the Goyim. Holiday party. Christmas party. Thanksgiving party. Super Bowl party at the synagogue. Sheshbesh tournament at the synagogue on Motzei Shabbat. Hashem says, annihilate all of them. On that day it was decided. How long? 9 years from now. Didn't happen that day. That wasn't the next week. 9 years from the time of Achashverosh until the actual decree was passed, 9 years passed. Meaning Hashem gave us time to realize that at least one of the three prayers we do every day, Chatanu, Avinu, Pashanu, that we actually mean something. Hey, by the way, you know what? 3 times a day, 365 days a year. It's 1,000 times a year, not including all the holidays and so on and so forth. You have almost 10 years. You're talking about 10,000 times, give or take, vidui. Hashem says, one time out of those vidui, say I'm sorry for going to the party. One time, not the whole 10 years. One time, say I'm sorry. No one said I'm sorry. You know how I know they didn't say I'm sorry? Because it happened. Because the decree didn't change. If somebody would have said I'm sorry, it wouldn't have happened. And the reality is, Rabotai, why didn't they say I'm sorry for 9 years? Because the Erev Rav doesn't see wrong in themselves. They don't see themselves as being wrong. When this Rasha Merusha Mirvis from England, the head rabbi of England, when he publicizes that he does not want to welcome Rabbi Mizrahi, one of the biggest Mezakei Rabim in the generation, he doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. When he takes pictures together with the Pope and his friends praying together, he doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. When he decides to join the board of a Christian organization with his buddy, Dwick, Imach Shimo. They're both in a Christian organization's board. Not Christian organization because everybody happens to be Christian there. No, no, no. Christian teachings organization. Two rabbis, supposable rabbis, go on a Christian organization's board. What are you doing there? Oh, we're bettering the relationship between the Jews and the Christians. You're bettering it? What, so they're going to stop murdering us in the streets? Finally, for 2,000 years they've been doing it? They're going to stop because of you? Or they're just going to wait for the next Holocaust to do it and pretend? He doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. When he says public comments against the head rabbi in Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Yitzhak Yosef, calling him racist, calling him all types of names, which you're not allowed to do even against an average Jew. Needless to say, against one of the Gedolei Ador, the head rabbi of Eretz Yisrael, the head rabbi of most Jews in the world today that are Sephardic. He goes against them publicly, writes articles against them publicly. You don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. When he, the Smirvis, decides that his school that he calls a yeshiva, he's going to teach Christianity in his yeshiva. But not by a Jewish version's Christianity, like he's not going to bring Rabbi Tovia Singer, Sheikhye, the expert, a counter-missionary, to teach all the lies of Christianity. No, that would be crazy. People would do tshuva. Are you crazy? No, he's not going to bring Rabbi Mizrahi that has the most famous debate against the Christian in today's world. The modern day Ramban debate he had. He's not going to bring Rabbi Mizrahi. Why? Because Rabbi Mizrahi, according to him, is a hate preacher. He's not going to bring him. No, chas v'shalom. Why? People are actually going to listen and do tshuva. Chas v'shalom. He's not going to bring them. Who is he going to bring? Who is Mervish bring to his yeshiva to teach Christianity? Pastors and priests. Pastors and priests that their number one job is to recruit Jewish people to become Christians. He brings them to his school to teach a 2-month course. It's not a one-time thing. 2-month course. 2-month course. You send your kid to become a Talmid Chacham, he comes out Notzri, Christian. He doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. He doesn't think there's anything wrong with writing a major document, joint partnership with the LGBT, the homosexuals, saying homosexuality is perfectly fine, like his buddy Dweck, that said it's the greatest thing that's happened in recent times. He wrote the document and he publicized it on the internet. He's not even ashamed of it. He publicized it. Look at what kind of chidush we brought to the world of Jewry. LGBT and the head rabbi of England are working together. As if it doesn't say in the Torah a dozen times that it's an abomination. That it's called the Toivat Hashem. That homosexuality is considered the same thing as bestiality, which is considered an abomination, disgusting in the eyes of Hashem. He doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. Why? He's the head rabbi. He's the head rabbi. He thinks he's Moshe Rabbeinu. Dust under the feet of Moshe Rabbeinu he won't be. Because only the ones that go to Gehinom and get out end up becoming the dust under the tzadikim, the Gemara says in Masechet Chagigah. But he's going to be one of those people that goes to Gehinom and doesn't leave. Because it's a machtia rabim. It's a mechalel shem shamayim. And this person, Rabotai Yekarim, is the head rabbi. One of the most dangerous people, if not the most dangerous person on planet Earth for the Jewish people, is a Jew. There's a midrash that says that Nebuchadnezzar was also a Jew. Rabotai Yekarim, whose fault is this? I sent somebody a picture, one of my friends from Manchester. He sent me a text message saying almost every religious Jewish woman in Manchester, in London, wears a wig, except a few people. And all of them because of your shiurim. Baruch Hashem. So he made me happy, so I wanted to make him happy. So I sent him a picture in return. A picture of Mirvis, the Pope, and some other missionary. All like talking and hugging each other and praying together, whatever it is that they're doing. And I asked them, who's the most dangerous out of these three? The Pope, the biggest missionary for the Catholic world. The guy next to him, probably the biggest missionary for the Christian world. Both of them have no problem destroying every Jewish neshama in a second, because that's their mission. Or the Jew that calls himself the head rabbi. Which one's the most dangerous? In reality, it's the Jew. Your destroyers, your ruiners will come from within you. And Purim, Rabotai Yekarim, a person needs to know that in order for them to run away from this stuff, first and foremost, we have to point the finger at ourselves. It's our fault he's in power. Why? We elected him. The people of Manchester elected him. People of London elected him. Put him in power right after the other yo-yo, Sachs, whatever his name is. Lord Sachs. There's a picture of both of these characters next to each other. They're buddies. Sachs that said that Chava was a prostitute and that it's really the whole story of Adam and Eve is just a parable. It's not a real story. You can watch this on video. It's available. He's buddies with this Mirvis. And Mirvis is making things even worse. Why? Because with the decline of the generations. Mirvis is becoming BFFs with the LGBT, BFF, best friends forever, with the Christians, with the Catholics, with all of Sonei Israel, Sonei Torah. But he's going to allow all of them to speak at his university. He's going to allow all of them to speak at his shuls. But to let one Orthodox rabbi that repeats the teachings of the Arizal, a Kadosh, that, no. You're not going to allow this person to give lectures. Why? People chas v'shalom will do tshuva. How could I be a man if people do tshuva? You're going to ruin the whole story. This is what Mirvis thinks. But it's our fault. It's our fault because the people of Manchester have unfortunately become comfortably spiritually numb. They don't even realize there's so much wrong in the world they live in that they have to do something about it. Almost nobody fought against this guy. Almost nobody fights against this guy. Same thing is happening in Tveria, in Eretz Yisrael. The mayor of Tveria, Michalel Shem Shamayim, 24 hours a day. Made it a mission, is continuously making it a mission to get as many people to violate Shabbat as possible. By making Tveria one of the holiest places in Eretz Yisrael into a theatrical place where pretty much you're going to have all types of parks and amusement and so on. He even went and used government money to buy ice or snow so people can play with it on Shabbat. He pays people to come on a bus. There's no money to clean the city. But he uses the money of the city for what? To bring people on the bus so they can have fun on Shabbat, to violate Shabbat. It's our fault that he's in power. We elected him. We allowed him to go in there. Now you're going to say, wait a minute, what do I have anything to do with these yo-yos? This guy is in London. The other guy is in Eretz Yisrael. What does that have to do with me? What does that have to do with little me in Florida, in New York, in Arizona, in Zimbabwe, wherever you are in the world that's watching this right now? What does that have to do with you? If you did real tshuva, if you became a korban, if you were moser nefesh, if you sacrificed your neshama, sacrifice your body, sacrifice your money, sacrifice your everything for the sake of Hashem, really? It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. Anyone that's suffering as a result of their fellow suffering deserves it themselves too. Meaning, if somebody dies in the world, and when their family finds out, they're going to get upset. Of course, naturally they're going to get upset, but they should also be upset that they deserve it. Why? If they didn't deserve it, Hashem wouldn't allow it to happen. No one gets pricked on a finger, the Gemara says, without heaven deciding allowed, not allowed, deserve, don't deserve, and so on and so forth. Which means that if one of these so-called Erev Rav is leading a bunch of our brothers and sisters to sin even more, to run away from the truth even more, and we hurt a little bit because of it. It hurts us to hear that our brothers and sisters think they're religious, but in reality their leader is the Erev Rav. It hurts us to think that they think that they're okay, that they all have Gan Eden, but in reality they're building themselves a spiritual Holocaust, if not a real Holocaust also. It hurts us. We deserve it too. Why? If we didn't deserve it, it wouldn't happen. The more you're affected by a problem, the more you deserve it yourself. Which means that all of us need to do cheshbon nefesh and try to figure out how can we use Purim as a time to become more righteous, as a time to become closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and stop being jokers. Now, women love the fact that Megillat Esther is named after a woman. Especially the women that don't know much Torah and are feminist. They love it. Why? It's like, oh yeah, we have Moshe Rabbeinu all the time, Rabbi Akiva all the time. No, name one of these books after a woman. Oh, Megillat Esther. Fine. So, okay, so you like it? Can you be like Esther? Let's see what it says about Esther. In Perek Bet, chapter 2 of Megillat Esther, when it says that before all hell broke loose, there was a contest of who's going to be Achashverosh's next wife. He killed his last one, Vashti, the one that caused Jewish girls to violate Shabbat and walk around naked. So Hashem killed Vashti, but now Achashverosh needs a new wife. So he pretty much decided that every woman, he's going to try her out. Married, not married, didn't make a difference. And try everybody. And every woman, in order to compensate for him ruining her life, because he just touched her, he just violated her privacy, he gave them the ability to take whatever they wanted. Jewels, gold, money, whatever it is. And it says that Esther HaMalka lo biksha davar. She requested nothing. What does it mean she requested nothing? Esther had no interest whatsoever in the jewels, in the money, in compensation for violating her privacy. Because no amount of money could ever pay for some stranger touching you, looking at you, or even thinking about you if you want to have a chance to be a righteous woman. Esther HaMalka was thinking, I've been in the house of Mordechai for the last 75 years. Hiding, never left the house. She never left the house for 75 years. If we don't leave the house for 75 minutes, we start losing our mind. The Targum, Perek Bet, Pasuk Zayin, reiterates what the Gemara in Masechet Megillah says, that Esther HaMalka was 70 years old. The Targum says actually she was 75 to be exact. She was 75. And for 75 years, she never left the house. Why? Was she a hermit? Was something wrong with her? No. She was a married woman. There's no need to leave the house and have somebody else look at you, think about you, visualize perverted thoughts about you, if you don't have to. If you have a better option. If you could send somebody else to buy you groceries. If you could order it on the internet. If you can manage without leaving the house, why leave the house? As a married woman, for what? Esther HaMalka made all the arrangements she needed to make sure she does not need to leave the house at all. The first time she left the house was to go to Achashverosh, where they forced her to leave, to go to Achashverosh. First time anybody ever saw her, other than Mordechai. Why? That's how modest she was. Now in today's world, people are going to say, write comments on the internet, this guy's fanatic, he's crazy, even the Iranians don't do this. Even if you're fanatic, you're crazy, next thing you're going to say, people have to cover their face. No. You're talking about, you like Esther, you like Megillat Esther because you want to be like Esther, right? Okay, so you should know what you're dealing with, first of all. You're dealing with somebody that was as modest as you can possibly be. What do you get for being so modest? How do you get a daughter like this? How do you get a daughter like this? How do you get a daughter that's this modest? Who doesn't want a daughter or a wife that's this modest? Imagine how much kedusha such a person produces in the world. They're not talking about the cousin of Esther. They're not talking about Esther's friend from down the street 3,000 years after they died. No. They're talking about Esther. They're not talking about some other woman that lived at the times of Esther, that knew of Esther. No. They're talking about Esther. There's a whole Megillah talking about Esther. Why? Because of how pure she was. How modest she was. They're not mentioning some woman that lived that was a next door neighbor to Avraham Avinu. No, they're not talking about her. They're talking about Sarai Imenu. Because of how modest Sarai Imenu was. How modest Rivka was. How modest Leah was. How modest Rachel was. How modest Chana was. Every one of the women that's mentioned in our Torah as a righteous woman, it's righteous because of how modest she is. Now, Rabotai Karim, Esther did not just turn out this way just by good luck. It all started with Sarai Imenu. Sarai Imenu, our own husband, Avraham, did not know how beautiful she was until one time she lifted the dress that reached all the way to the bottom. She lifted it a little bit so it doesn't get wet from the river. And for the first time, our own husband, for decades, says, now he knew her. Now he knew how beautiful she was. If I was Sarah, I'd say, hey, Avraham, where have you been? I get offended. If I was Sarai Imenu, I get offended. Where have you been? Now you understand I'm beautiful? Ah. Even Paro knows I'm beautiful. You just met me one day. What's the problem? Where you been? But that's also Avraham Avinu, of how much respect he had for his own wife. But he saw how beautiful she was. From her leg, from the bottom of the calf. That's how beautiful she was. Chachamim say she was so beautiful that the most beautiful person today looks like a monkey next to her. That's how beautiful she was. But because she was so modest, even her own husband did not know how beautiful she was. But that's also because of how righteous she was. Because of that, she merited to have a great-great-grandson who was the first king of Israel. Who? Shaul HaMelech. Shaul HaMelech, great descendant of Sarai Imenu, Gemara says. How do we know that this is same blood? Because of how modest Shaul HaMelech was. And Shaul HaMelech, because of how modest he was, merited to have a granddaughter named Esther. Esther that saved Am Yisrael. We see here, Rabotai Yekarim, that modesty is a reward that's infinite. If a woman lives a modest life, the reward is infinite. It's not just she gets to go to Gan Eden, but she gets an infinite amount of rewards because of all of the good she produces. Batya Bat Paro also is called Yehudit, Gemara says. Why is she called Yehudit? Why is Batya Bat Paro called Yehudit? Gemara says anybody that goes against idol worship is called a Yehudi. It's called a Jew. You want to be a Jew? It's not just about converting. It's not just about going to Bedin. Make your fight against idolatry a permanent part of your life. That's what's called a Jew. A Jew fights idolatry. First time in the Torah that mentions the word Jew is Mordechai Yehudi. Why? He fought idolatry. What idol? The idol that was hanging off of the neck of Haman HaRasha. That's why he was called Mordechai Yehudi. Mordechai the Jew. Why was Batya Bat Paro called Yehudit? Because she fought against idolatry. What idol? Her father. Her father Paro thought he was actually a god. She fought against him. What reward did she get? First reward we already heard about. She got a nice son to raise named Moshe. Happened to be Moshe Rabbeinu too. Not just a regular Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu. Unlike anybody else that lived after Moshe, everybody we hear about, even Rabbi Akiva, it's Rabbi Akiva. Or Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi. Or Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkinos. Rabbi Rambam. Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon. Right? But Moshe, it's Moshe Rabbeinu. Why it's Moshe Rabbeinu? Why is it not Rabbi Moshe? Because Moshe got to a level of perfection even before he got the Torah. Even before he became a rabbi. Even before he became Moshe Rabbeinu, he fixed his midot. He completely fixed his midot and perfected himself. So Batya Bat Paro got the merit to raise him. But that's not enough. She also got the merit to marry a person by the name of Mered. Who's Mered? Kalev. Why is Kalev named Mered? Kalev is named Mered, like Betzalel just said, because Umarad against the spies. He went against the spies. He went against the heretics. He went against the Erev Rav. You go against the Reshaim, you get special treatment. Who are these Reshaim? The Meraglim, the spies that were talking about against Eretz Yisrael. So Kalev saw them do what they're doing. He went to the graves of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, to Marat HaMachpelah, started praying. Hashem, please protect me from this Reshaim, this Mervis, this Dweck, this Ephraim Goldberg, all of these Reshaim. Please, Hashem, protect me from them. Protect me from them. 12 people left, only 2 survived. Who? Kalev, Yeshua ben Nun. Yeshua ben Nun got a special blessing from his rabbi, Moshe Rabbeinu. Kalev went to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Went to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Guess what? You're a perfect match. You go against the heretics, she goes against the idols, your perfect match, zivug. Chuppah and kiddushin. Who's the other tzaddik Yeshua ben Nun gonna marry? Rachav. Oh, hold on a second. Rachav, it's a little bit of a problem here. Rachav, anyone that learned a little bit of Tanakh knows Rachav doesn't exactly have such a great history. Gemara says that anyone that says the name Rachav 3 times, seminal emission comes out of them. Seed comes out of them. So one of the Chachamim says, hey, I say Rachav, it means the next year nothing happens to me. He goes, no, that's because you never saw her. If you ever saw Rachav, she was so beautiful that if you said her name, just say her name, now look at a picture. You said her name 3 times, end up wasting seed. That's how beautiful she was. But she was one of the top prostitutes in the world. So how is Hashem going to tell Yeshua ben Nun, the Gedol Ador, hey, by the way, go marry this girl. By the way, she has a little bit of a checkered past. Because Rachav, as soon as she identified the truth, she did tshuva in a second. Not, you know what, let me start with Shabbat, and then by next week I'll do a little bit of kosher, and talk to me next year about maybe change my shirts. And talk to me like 20 years from now about the skirts. You know, once I'm like wrinkly and no one wants to look at me anyway, then I'll start covering my hair. And you know, once I'm like in the grave, then you can cover me altogether. In the grave, you cover the whole thing, whatever you want. Or when I'm sleeping, blanket. But if I'm going to the supermarket, if I'm going to a wedding, if I'm going to a bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, work, anything like that, no, I got to look like everybody else. Rachav Rabotai Yekarim, Rachav, even though she had a past full of idolatry, promiscuity, and all of the worst, we learn from her what a real Baal Tshuva is. She learns the truth, she starts doing it. She doesn't make any excuses. You learn you have to keep Shabbat, you keep it. It's hard, keep it anyway. Everything in life is hard. Everything that's worth anything is hard. If it's not hard, it's usually bad for you. What did she merit? 8 children. 8 children, all of them were prophets. If she had 8 children with Yeshua ben Nun, then you're going to say, yeah, okay, she had children. What's the big deal? She had children. That doesn't mean that Yeshua ben Nun was supposed to marry. He should have got a better shidduch. But Hashem wanted to make sure that everybody knows that He's the one that made this shidduch. He's the one that stamped His approval on this shidduch between Yeshua ben Nun and Rachav. That she's a real Baalat Tshuva. She's a real convert. She's a real Tzadika. How? Giving them 8 descendants that were prophets. Who are these? Neriah, Baruch, Seraiah, Mechesiah, Jeremiah. You heard of the book of Jeremiah? Chilkiah, Hananel, Shalom, and even Huldah. Huldah, that was the prophet, the woman prophet, one of the 7 women prophets that's mentioned in the Torah. She was also her descendant. All of these were descendants. They're all Kohanim, or prophets, or both. To such an extent. Why? Modesty. When someone is modest, and they take the Torah seriously, there's no end to their reward. So anyone that wants to be like a real Baalat Tshuva, a real Tzaddiket, Esther HaMalka, Rachav, Sarah, you pick them. Look what they did. Do even half of what they did. You'll be fine. But the reality is that most people want to be like their neighbor, want to be like their boss, want to be like the celebrity on TV much more than they want to be like Esther HaMalka. And the reason why is because we have a Erev Rav telling us that it's okay. We have a person like Mervis and Dweck and their buddies constantly telling people that everything's okay. And we, even if we know it's wrong, most people don't say anything. Most people stay quiet. They know what he's saying is wrong. They know what he's doing is wrong. Everybody knows that you're not allowed to even be within 6 feet of a Christian missionary. You're not allowed to stand. Halacha. Halacha is you're not allowed to stand 6 feet next to a Christian missionary. Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkonos, the Gemara Masechet Avodah Zarah, says almost got a death penalty from heaven because he liked some comment that some Christian made. Not that he argued with him, not that he debated with him, not that he even had lunch with him, nothing. But the Christian said something that's like a chidush, and Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkonos says, I'm not to talk to him. So, but inside, he liked what he said. He liked it. Why? It's like it was funny. He made him laugh. For that, he says, he almost got a death penalty from Hashem. That's how far you have to stay away from them. The Rambam posek that even if a missionary comes to you, wants to do tshuva, not allowed to help him. He can do it on his own, but you're not allowed to help him. Needless to say, you're not allowed to have business with them, be on the board of directors with them, take pictures with them, go and pray with them. Who says you're allowed to go pray with the Pope? Who says you're allowed to go teach Christianity in Jewish schools? Who said you're allowed to teach Christianity at all? Who says that you're allowed to write that this LGBT, they're not so bad? A document with them. Who said? What halacha are you listening to? What chacham are you listening to? Unfortunately, most people don't know anything I just said right now. They didn't know any of these laws. That's why they just let it go. But there are a few that do know. More than a few. People that are rabbis. People that are Talmidei Chachamim. People that know a lot more Torah than I could ever know. But they stay quiet. They stay quiet. And Mervis gets stronger and stronger. Dweck gets stronger and stronger. Goldberg gets stronger and stronger. And the rest of the Erev Rav continue to get stronger and stronger. And we stay quiet as if everything is fine. Everything is peaches. It's awful. That's why in the Torah, we mention on Mondays and Thursdays, Abaye says, Anshe Emunah Avadu. Men of truth, gone. Why? What is this? Reminder, that's when Hashem decided to destroy the Beit HaMikdash. When no one was willing to stand for the truth, no one was willing to rebuke, the Gemara in Masechet Chagigah says, at that moment Hashem says, there's no more Anshe Emunah, there's no more people of truth, no one's going to fight for the truth, I'll destroy the Beit HaMikdash. That's it. There's no need. Why? If no one's going to fight for the truth, how is anybody going to do tshuva? Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda, Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, Omer, הנוי והכוח והעושר והכבוד והחוכמה והזקנה והשיבה והבנים נאה לצדיקים ונאה לעולם שנאמר עטרת תפארת שיבה ודרך צדקה תימצא ואומר עטרת זקנים בני בנים ותפארת בנים אבותם ואומר תפארת בחורים כוחם והדר זקנים שיבה ואומר וחפרה הלבנה והבושה החמה כי מלך אדוני צבאות בהר ציון ובירושלים ונגד זקניו כבוד. רבי שמעון בן מנסיה אומר, אלו 7 מידות שמנו חכמים לצדיקים כולם נתקיימו ברבי ובניו. Translation, Mishnah in Avot, chapter 6, Mishnah number 8. Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda says in the name of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. It says ben Yochai, but ben Yochai is Hebrew, bar Yochai is Aramaic, means the same thing. Beauty, strength, wealth, honor, wisdom, old age, hoary age, and children, these befit the righteous and befit the world. As it is said, ripe old age is the crown of splendor. It can be found in the path of the righteousness, Proverbs 16:31. Also in Proverbs 17:6, the crown of the aged is grandchildren. The splendor of children is their fathers. Proverbs 20:29. The splendor of young men is their strength. The glory of old men is a hoary age. And Isaiah 24:23 says, the moon will grow pale and the sun will be shamed when God, Master of Legions, will have reigned on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, and honor shall be before his elders. Rabbi Shimon ben Manasseh says, these 7 qualities that the sages attributed to the righteous people were all realized by Rebbe and his sons. That's the Mishnah. So Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda is teaching us a teaching that his teacher said. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, that almost every Jew in the world knows who that is, or at least heard the name. If you've ever celebrated Lag BaOmer, you probably have heard the story of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai standing up for the truth against the Romans. The Gemara says in Masechet Avodah Zarah that 3 Chachamim were there. One of them was Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. And he said, these Romans, they build all these bridges, they build all these different things, these bathhouses and so on. It's good, they did good for the people. One of the people said, no, it's good for the people. But Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai says, no, hey, let's not look at things the wrong way. Let's look at it the way it really is. Even though you may benefit from the bathhouse, even though you may benefit from the bridge, or the tunnel, or the park, or the supermarket, even though you may benefit from all of it, they did not build it for you. They built it for themselves, to make money off of you, to benefit from you, and to continue to a certain extent. They didn't do it for us. They did it for themselves. One new convert heard this, and apparently he didn't learn the laws of Lashon Hara yet. Some people think that Lashon Hara is only if it's not true. If you say things that are not true, then it's Lashon Hara. No, Lashon Hara is actually true. It's telling people true things about somebody else that he does not want anyone else to know. Lashon Hara is you telling somebody else, by the way, this guy, he's rich. He's got a lot of money. That's Lashon Hara. That's Lashon Hara. Telling somebody, he's rich. Lashon Hara. That's Lashon Hara. Rambam says, someone that says Lashon Hara once, hopefully they'll have a share of the world to come. But of course, someone that says Lashon Hara all the time has no share of the world to come. Someone says Lashon Hara all the time says, no, of course he has no share of the world to come, Rambam says. But someone that says Lashon Hara once, it's safek, hopefully. Hopefully he can do tshuva for it. If we talk, we say Lashon Hara these days. Honestly, what it gets to a point where you shouldn't talk, period. Because we haven't trained ourselves yet to say good things. So Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai said the truth. The Gemara says this young convert decided to spread this truth where it didn't belong. Some say he meant well, some say he was an idiot, some say he meant bad. Didn't really make a difference. The Romans put a bounty. Whoever brings his Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai's head on a platter gets reward. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai ran away, hid in a cave. He didn't even tell his own wife. Didn't even tell his own wife. He took his son, Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Shimon, and they hid in the cave for 13 years. When he came out of the cave, his father-in-law saw him, and after he took off his shirt, his father-in-law saw that all the sand, because what they did is in order to keep their clothes, they only had one outfit. They didn't take suitcases. They didn't take suitcases. They didn't have like Uber and horse, They didn't take suitcases. Whatever they had on them, that's all they had. So to keep their clothes for Shabbat, they made a hole in the ground, and they would sit inside the whole day learning Torah. And only come out of the hole in order for Shabbat, to put on the clothes. The rest of the time they were naked, to keep why? Because they knew they don't know how long they're going to be in this place. And they don't want to show up to Shabbat with holes in their clothes. So they kept their clothes, only wear it once a week. But all of the sand touching their skin made all types of scars and indentations and all types of mamash, destroyed their body. So the father-in-law of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, who was a Talmid Chacham, that was bigger than Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai before he went into the cave, saw when he took off his clothes, took off his shirt, he saw all of these marks, all of these mamash, like indentations, engravements, blood and everything all over his back. And just from seeing how much pain he has, he started crying. And the tears, the Gemara says, went inside the wound and hurt Rabbi Shimon. It was burning. It's like salt on a wound. He said, oh, I'm sorry to see you this way. I'm sorry to see you this way. His father-in-law says, Rabbi Shimon says, oh, I'm sorry. I would be sorry if you didn't see me this way. Why? When I didn't have all of these marks, you were a bigger chacham than me. Because of these marks, I'm a bigger chacham than you. I've been studying chavruta with malachim for the last 13 years. Why do you think I was joking around? So anyway, this Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai was fighting for the truth. He didn't care about the Romans are going to kill, not kill. Why? The truth is the truth. Rav Kanievsky, alav shalom, Shichyeh, of Kanievsky, Shichyeh, one of his famous books, they actually have it in, it was translated to English. Talks about Mussar of Kanievsky. One of the Gedolei Adol today. Same one that I told you, whole Shas, Bavli, and so on. First, it's all Mussar. It's all Mussar. First chapter. Which midah? Which midah did he start his Mussar book? Midat HaEmet. Mussar book of Rav Kanievsky starts with what? The midah of emet. Why? It's the hardest midah. Because emet, truth, is something you cannot mess with it. It can't be emet sometimes. Emet sometimes means you're a liar all the time. Midat emet is all the time. So, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai fought for the emet, no matter what the cost was. His student, Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda, is saying a Mishnah in his name. Who was Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda? Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda was also a Tana, was a 5th generation Tana. Tana means he was able to revive the dead. Tana means he had Ruach HaKodesh. Tana means that if the entire Torah in the world today, including the Chachamim that I mentioned, does not amount to his Torah. That's what Tana means. We have no concept of what it means to have Ruach HaKodesh. We have no concept of what it means to be in the level of the Rambam 900 years ago, or Rashi 900 years ago, or Ramban around the same time. We have no concept. They weren't even enough to be a student of a Tana. Because a Tana would be able to revive the dead, the Gemara says. But yet this Tana Kadosh, Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda, says, this is the Mishnah, this teachings, this is the teachings of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, my teacher. Yeah, but think about it for a second. You yourself, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda, you're also a Tana. Why are you teaching us in the name of someone? You teach us your own stuff. Teach your own stuff. We wouldn't know the difference. Okay, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, kvodo b'mkomo, he's a giant among giants. Fine. But you too, you're a Tana. Why are you mentioning the teachings of your teacher? Just mention something, give us a chidush. Give us a chidush, give us something new. Why are you teaching us Rabbi Shimon? If we want to hear Rabbi Shimon, we go to a different Mishnah. Why are you teaching us Rabbi Shimon? You're teaching us like a child teaches people. He says, oh, my Rebbe says that you have to be modest, Ima. My Rebbe says that you can't wear a wig anymore, Ima. My Rebbe says all these things. That's what the teacher says. The kid says my rabbi. So Rabbi Shimon over here, Ben Yehuda, is teaching us, oh, my rabbi says, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai says, all the following things. From that, we need to learn, what does it mean, kvod chachamim? What does it mean, kvod arav? A lot of people say kvod arav, but they have no idea what it means, kvod arav. It's kvod arav as long as the Rav agrees with me. As long as the Rav does what I say. As long as the Rav picks up when I call. As long as the Rav answers my emails right away. As long as he gives me the answers that I want. He's the Rav. He's kvod arav. But as soon as he gives me something I don't like, not even, he's Erev Rav. They start asking questions. Why? We have no idea what it means, kvod arav. Chachamim tell us, you have to fear your Rav like you fear Shamayim. You fear a rabbi that's also flesh and blood just like you, but has more Torah than you. How much you fear him? Like you fear God. What does it mean? How could you fear flesh and blood? Like you fear God. You're not fearing him per se. You fear the Torah that's inside him. You fear the Torah that's inside him. And the reality is, if you don't, you're never going to value and respect the Torah that's inside him. You're always going to question it. If you didn't hear a source, you're thinking, is it reliable to you? Like everything else you said had a source. But this one thing, 75 things had a source. But 76 didn't have a source. Do I still need to listen to it? Oh, you said the story, but it was the wrong name. It wasn't Rabbi Akiva, it was Rabbi Yehuda. So do I still need to take that as serious? In 2 seconds they cancel everything out. Why? Because they don't fear the rabbi, they're never going to respect what the rabbi says. And the reality is, Rabotai, is that without having kvod chachamim, there's no Torah. There are certain people that all they do is make fun of chachamim. I'm not talking about making fun of wicked people. I'm talking about making fun of chachamim. People that we have no reason to believe are wicked. People that haven't done anything wicked. But nonetheless, people like to make fun. Why? Gets a good audience. Look like a comedian. Makes themselves feel better. But there's no good that comes out of such things. Why? Because then you go against someone that's a chacham, someone that's trying to be a chacham, someone that is sticking to Da'at Torah, and you cause other people to disrespect this person. You cause other people to not listen to this person. And guess what? Those people that are not going to listen, they're going to get punished for it. They're going to make sins. And they're going to have to pay the bill for it. But the person that told them not to listen also is going to have to pay the bill for it. It's not just going to be the sinner that goes to Gehinnom. It will also be the ones that cause them to sin. In fact, he's even worse shape. She's even in worse shape. That's why I tell people all the time, don't let the clothing of people fool you to think that that's what makes you religious. Yes, of course, you have to be modest as a man or a woman. But just because you look modest does not mean that you're a religious person. Just because you wear black and white does not mean you're a religious person. Just because you have a beard and you call yourself a rabbi does not mean you are a religious person. Just because you have a scarf on your head does not mean you're a religious person. To be religious means that you have to be connected, glued to Hashem. You have to be fanatic about Hashem. Anyone that tells you otherwise simply has less yirat shamayim than they're supposed to have. Sometimes they have zero. And you're not even allowed to listen to their Torah because they're considered lo agun, not a fair person, not a reliable person. If Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda, that's a Tana Kadosh, that if we, from our perspective, is no different than Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. He's a Tana, he's a Tana. He can revive the dead, he can revive the dead. He knows more Torah than everybody in the world put together. He knows more Torah than everybody else in the world put together. So it's not, from our perspective, they're both like Mount Sinai itself. Rabbi Ephraim tells me, he goes, listen, for me, I can't think about the Gedulah of the Rambam or Rabbi Akiva. He goes, I just think, Rav Ovadia. Rav Ovadia, to me, it might as well be Moshe Rabbeinu. Why? You cannot imagine how much Torah is in Rav Ovadia. It was in Rav Ovadia, is in Rav Ovadia. You cannot imagine. 60,000 books in his house he knows by heart. Show me one person, secular or religious, that knows 60 books by heart. 6 books by heart. Even if they wrote the books. The author of Harry Potter doesn't know her own books by heart. I don't mean by heart like you know what happened. I mean by heart. Word for word. He would go, Rav Ovadia alav hashalom would go to Egypt because they had an old Bet Knesset over there, but they wouldn't allow you to take the books. So he would just look at the books in the library over there, look at them once, then go home, write them all the books all over again. That's how many of the old books that we have today, that came from Babylon, came from Iraq, and so on, we have from him. Why? He rewrote the books. From memory. So when a person understands what we had just a few years ago, we're not talking about 500, we're not Moshe Rabbeinu. A few years ago we had this. That's what we lost. A few years ago, Rabotai, a few years ago. What we had available to anybody to go see. Beit Knesset of Rav Ovadia was literally 2 buildings away from Rabbi Ephraim, where Rabbi Ephraim was living on Har Nof. Two buildings away. I went there. You were able to go see him every day if you wanted. Right there. He was like, right there. You could have him as a sandak. I mean, it's a 2-second brit milah, but you can have him as a sandak if you want. You go to a shiur every Motzei Shabbat. This is what we had a few years ago. Rav Ephraim says, anyone that understands how much Torah Rav Ovadia knew, you can't compare anything to that. You can't compare yourself to him. There's one Tzadik in the world, used to live here. Baruch Hashem, he actually did Aliyah, smart person. Baruch Hashem, I'll follow soon. Rav Meir Eliyahu. Rav Meir Eliyahu was a rabbi in Florida for I think 10 years, something like that. And he did Aliyah, he comes and visits. He's genius. Genius, Talmid Chacham, Yirat Shamayim. He's also a member of the Igud HaRabbanim. And, but he's one of these people that's unbelievable. Unbelievable how much Torah he knows by heart. Unbelievable. When I first heard him, shiurim that I heard years ago, I thought he must be connected to an electric outlet or something. There's a computer inside there. Like, how do you know so much Torah by heart? It's unbelievable. Can you press the power thing? This thing is dying. Switch the flip in the back, the blue one. Unbelievable. So he would say so many things by heart that, people get excited and they like their rabbi. So they said, he's as big as Rav Ovadia. Rav Meir Eliyahu, he's as big as Rav Ovadia. Now, for someone who doesn't know much, he knows a lot, to you it's the same thing. But Rabbi Eliyahu has serious Yirat Shamayim. He says, you think I'm like Rabbi Ovadia? He says, if I can be a grain of sand under his feet, it would be good enough. Be good enough. Now, he wrote many books. Yush Talmid Chacham. He has a whole series, by the way. Anybody speaks Hebrew? He has a whole series about Gehenom. What a series. Anyone? I didn't watch the whole series. I watched a couple of minutes here and there. Every 2 minutes gives you a heart attack. Whole series about Gehenom. Whole series about Kafakela. Whole series about Chibut HaKever, what happens in the grave. Ooh, wow. He has some wonderful stuff for anybody who wants to, like, mamash, get to Yirat Shamayim. Series he has, books and so on. He says, I wish I could be a grain. Not like these people today, they write one book that gets published by Feldheim or Art Scroll about Shlom Bayit, and they think they already become one of the Gdolim of America. 90% of the book is complete gibberish nonsense that 50 other books wrote already. So, we had Rabbi Ovadia just a few years ago. And Rabbi Ephraim says, for me, that's as big as I could imagine. So to say, oh, what about the Stipler Gaon 40 years ago? Rav Kanievsky's father had Ruach HaKodesh. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, Chafetz Chaim, Rav Wasserman. I mean, you read the books of the bios of Rav Wasserman, Chafetz, all these people, giants. It's like this. It cannot be that these are people. It cannot be these people walked among us. And this is what we have left. Rabotai, I'll tell you something. If the Gdolim came to this generation and found out that I have to give lectures about modesty, I have to give lectures about wasting seed to Klal Israel, they would start crying thinking they arrived at Gehenom. Why? What do you mean? You have to teach people to dress? You have to teach people to put clothes on? You have to teach people not to make what the sin that the Shulchan Aruch calls the biggest sin in the entire Torah, wasting seed? That's what you have to teach people today? You have to teach people to keep Shabbat? That's what your lecturer is doing today? They would think they arrived at Gehenom. Why? Who would have thought this is where we're going to be? Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda is teaching us Torah exactly like you're supposed to. First and foremost, remember you're nothing. Without your rabbi, you're even less than nothing. Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda says, everything I know, it's for my rabbi. Why does the constant reminder that you got it from your rabbi important? Because your rabbi is your connection to Moshe Rabbeinu. It's your authenticity stamp. It's not that you need Moshe Rabbeinu in order to talk to Hashem. You could talk to Hashem firsthand, unlike the Goyim. We don't need middlemen. But what makes you sure that your connection is authentic? What makes you sure that your connection is true, is correct? The Christians think they're correct. The Muslims think they're correct. Mirvis thinks he's correct. Everybody thinks they're correct. What makes you so sure you're correct? I can't understand anything beyond my rabbi. Why? Because my rabbi, he got it from his rabbi. His rabbi got it from his rabbi. His rabbi got it from his rabbi, and so on and so forth. It goes all the way to Rashi, to Tosfot, to Rambam, to the Gemara, to the Tanaim, to the Zugot, to the 70 Anshe Knesset HaGdolah, the 70 elders to Moshe Rabbeinu. My rabbi connects me to all of them. So I know it's sure, for sure it's right. But if I tell you, no, I read it in a book. Even if the book says Rashi on it, or Tosfot on it, or Rambam on it, or so on and so forth, who says you're right? Who says that your interpretation of what they're saying, your understanding of what they're saying is right? Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda is telling us, everything I'm about to tell you, I have a source. What's my source? Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. He might as well tell us Moshe Rabbeinu. Same thing. Same thing. Why is he mentioning the name? To tell you, whatever I'm about to tell you, you can bet on it. Guaranteed. What is he going to tell us? Beauty, strength, wealth, honor, wisdom, old age, hoary age, children, these befit the righteous and befit the world. Meaning all of these desirable qualities, if a person uses them right, if a person uses their beauty right, their strength right, their wealth right, their honor, their wisdom, their old age, if they use it right, it'll elevate them to become closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They can use it in a way that will make their service to Hashem Yitbarach better. Or worse. The Ruach Chaim says, these attributes are like zeros. Visualize each one of them as a big zero. Where if you put something next to it, it becomes meaningful, becomes valuable. You put a 1 next to a 0, it becomes 10. You put 2 next to a 0, it becomes 20. You put 572 next to a 0, it becomes 5,672. 720. You put a value next to a 0 and you create meaning. But if you put nothing next to it, it stays a 0. It stays meaningless. It stays empty. Now beauty is something that Hashem created. And He gave certain people in the world beauty. Where everyone can say, no, beauty is in the beholder of the eye, or some other nice sentence. Yeah. Good luck with that one. Good luck with that one. Why? Because beauty is not necessarily the eye of the beholder. The reality is that even the guy that married to an ugly woman wants the pretty woman. Even the woman that's married to an ugly guy wants someone, husband, to lose a few pounds and look better. Attraction is part of human nature. As a matter of fact, the Gemara in Masechet Ta'anit, Rabban Gamliel says that the original holiday of love was Tu B'Shvat. You know what they call Valentine's? Their Avodah Zarah calls Valentine's was actually Tu B'Shvat. Tu B'Shvat. Why? Because Bnot Israel would be allowed once a year to go out with a fancy dress and say, look at me. The whole year is not allowed to look at her. But that day is allowed to look at her. Why? That's the day of the Shidduchim. What would she wear? What, is she going to wear a mini skirt? What is she going to wear? Everyone wore her friend's dress. No one wore their own dress. Why? Everyone needs to look the same. Everyone can't be the rich one is going to look this way. The poor one's going to look that way. No, my friends. So the pretty ones would say, I'm available. The ones that were socially connected says, I'm available. The ugly ones say, I'm available, but you have to give me money. I'm available to get married, but you have to give me some money though. I'm expensive. Now you would think, wait a minute, hold on a second. Little Gargamel-looking girl is telling me I'm available, I need to give her money. The pretty one is not saying anything, Tzadika. But this one with 3 noses, she's telling me she has to, she wants money too. What do we learn from here? The ugly one says, we've always had ugly, we've always had pretty, we've always had somewhere in the middle. The ugly one says, listen, you need to invest money in me so I look better. Why should he take you? Why can't I just go to the pretty one? He says, because if you go to the pretty one, yeah, it's good. You're going to be married, the pool, it's all good. But you get a benefit out of it because she's so pretty. You get a benefit out of it. It's good. If you marry me with the 3 noses, guess what? 100% everyone knows you're doing it 100% for Shamayim. It's a mitzvah to marry me because I'm so ugly. So since I'm helping you make such a big mitzvah that your whole life is going to be a big mitzvah, you have to pay me. That's a Bat Yisrael. Understand? Watch, all the married girls, all the ugly girls are going to get married next week. Amen. If Torah does that, amen. So now, Rabotai Karim, beauty is something that Hashem brought to the world for a reason. And a person can use it for good or for bad. A woman that has beauty, in today's world, we think beauty is promiscuity, is immodesty. Beauty is expressed in a horrible way today. You say, oh wow, she's beautiful, or they use different words. Why? Because she's pretty much naked. So that's how they determine that she's beautiful. That's what gave even the ugly ones in this generation the distorted visual of themselves to think that if they also have less clothes, that makes them beautiful. It would always bother me to try to understand, how does somebody that doesn't look good even with clothes on decide to put as little clothes as possible on, like it's less than underwear almost, and walk around in the street and you're not really sure whether it's a buffalo or it's a person, or you're not really sure whether you feed it or you just run away. You're not sure what this thing is, but it's like walking and it's moving, it's getting closer to you. You're not sure though. But she's walking around like she's a thing. Hey, you're cute. Cute. She's going to eat me. What cute? What is this thing? How does she get out of the house like this? I never understood it. It's not her fault though. You know why it's not her fault? Because she was brought up in a house that told her that her beauty is expressed by skin. If she shows skin, then she's showing beauty. So it doesn't matter what the skin looks like. Even if it has tzarat, she thinks she shows skin. That makes her pretty. That's why you see little 9, 10, 11-year-old girls walking around practically with underwear, thinking they're beautiful. Married women, 25, 35, 45, 55 years old, walking around with tank tops, barely a bra, thinking beautiful. Beautiful. Why? Because I'm showing skin. You cannot go to a Walmart or any regular supermarket without seeing at least 75 to 90% of the women literally walking around in underwear. Best part is they're always in the clothing aisle. Like, get everything. You feel like buying them the clothes. Here, take the jacket. Take the shirt. I'll buy it for you. I'll pay for it. Gosh, put something on for heaven's sake. No, but they're always looking at underwear. Why? Because it looks the same thing as their clothes. Why? Because we have a distorted reality. We think skin makes you beautiful. We think that promiscuity, immodesty, nudity, that's what makes you beautiful. That's wrong. That's not beauty. Beauty is first and foremost how you present yourself. The ugliest woman in the world is a woman with horrible manners. That's actually physically beautiful. Because instead of using the physical beauty to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to show that Hashem's creation is beauty in and out, she is using Hashem's creation to show how ugly sometimes creation can be. So, a woman that's walking around immodest is disgusting. Really what we're supposed to do is train ourselves as men to visualize something disgusting, smell something disgusting every time we see an immodest woman. You have to get yourself to a point where you view immodesty as disgusting. Really. Not, oh yeah, it's not good, it's a sin, she's going to Gehenom. No, not that. Like actually view it as disgusting. That's what we're supposed to get to. Women need to view immodesty as disgusting, despicable. Not, oh, she's not nice, wow, she doesn't really look classy. No. You have to view it as disgusting. Why? Because one day you're going to have a daughter. One day you're going to have a daughter-in-law. One day you're going to have a student, a colleague, a friend, somebody. You're going to have to tell them, listen, you really should put some clothes on. Why? It doesn't look good? No, it's disgusting. That's the answer. No, it's not that it doesn't look good. It's disgusting. Why? Because you are a Bat Israel. You are a daughter of God, the King of Kings, and you think that it's okay to go show something that only your husband should see, and not even in clear daylight, but you're just showing the average Joe for free. You think that's okay? What do you think, you're a buffalo? You're not a garbage can that every single person is allowed to touch. You're not in a family, you're not a hippopotamus at the zoo that everyone's allowed to stare at, waiting for it to do something. You're a Bat Israel, even if you're not a Jew. You're a human being, for heaven's sake. You're not supposed to look like the wildebeests. They don't wear clothes because they're wildebeests. You're not. So yes, my dear sister, you look disgusting. Yeah, but this dress cost me $5,000. Yeah, they ripped you off. They ripped you off, yeah. Could have got you a full outfit for $15. And it wouldn't be disgusting because it'd cover you. Rabotai, you want to be a Tzadik? You want to be a Tzadika? That's what you have to get to. You have to get to a point of seeing immodesty as disgusting. It's the only way you're going to survive in this generation. Because as long as you think it's attractive, as long as you think there's something good about it, guess what? You're going to continuously fail. You're going to continuously look at websites you're not allowed to look at. You're going to continuously look at pictures you're not allowed to look at. You're going to continuously visualize things you're not allowed to look at. You can continuously look in directions you shouldn't look at for a little longer than you're supposed to look at. And you're going to fail. And your marriage will go to nothing. Your life will go to nothing. And guess what? Your neshama will go to nothing. So beauty is something that can make a person go to nothing if it's used inappropriately. On the other hand, it can also be something that elevates a person to become a Tzadik. Where do we learn this from? Yosef Tzadik. Not my son. Yosef Tzadik from a couple thousand years ago. He's on the way. Yosef Tzadik, Rabotai Karim, was the most beautiful man that ever lived other than Adam HaRishon. Adam HaRishon is not even human in comparison to us. His skin was like looking at a perfect diamond. All of his skin. So it's not something we compare to anything in the world that we know of. But Yosef Tzadik was so beautiful that all of the women of Egypt would throw their clothes at him just so he could raise his eyes and look at them. That's how beautiful he was. And he always looked down because he didn't want to violate his eyes. His eyes looked at Torah all the time, and that's it. So now Yosef Tzadik was as beautiful as can be. And he almost failed one time. Before he almost failed, the Gemara in Masechet Sotah says he saw an image of his father, Yaakov. Say to him, my son, right now there are 12 tribes. You are one of them. If you fail, not only will you not be part of them, you'll be completely removed altogether. The fact that he protected his eyes until now gave him the merit to see the demut, the image of his father talking to him. And because he passed his test, instead of being called Yosef HaRasha, he was called Yosef HaTzadik. Because he used his beauty and elevated it as a way to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, giving us no excuses left. No one can show up to Shamayim and say, listen, Hashem, what could I do? You made me beautiful. Every guy wanted me. What am I going to say no to everyone? What am I going to say no to every girl? Hashem, every day some girl was calling me. I'm going to say no to all of them? I said yes to just once a week. What's not good? The rabbi said levels, no levels. Hashem is going to tell the person, as they're sending him to Gehinom, he's going to tell the person, you're beautiful. Let me show you what real beauty looks like. And they're going to bring both to the girl and the guy. Yosef Tzadik. You were more beautiful than Yosef Tzadik. You were more beautiful than Rabban Yochanan. Rabban Yochanan, his beauty was so extraordinary, his skin, he was one of the people of Yerushalayim. When the Gemara says people of Yerushalayim, it means that this specific generation of Yerushalayim, there were the beautiful people, that they were so beautiful, their skin was like light. It was like light, like it would light the room, like the whole thing would be dark. They would roll their sleeve, the whole room would be light. That's how beautiful they were. They're going to show a person that thinks they're beautiful in this generation because he has a six-pack, or she went and did yoga for a few months. And they're going to show him in Shammai, well, listen Hashem, look, I'm beautiful. And show him Rabban Yochanan and says, look at this tzaddik. Show your wrist. The wrist is more beautiful than the entire person. You're more beautiful than him. It's a joke. The reality is, Rabotai, that you can use your beauty as a way to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How? By covering it. Showing the world that despite the fact that you have beauty, you know that you must use it in accordance with the Torah HaKadosha, in accordance with the rules of Hashem Yitbarach. If you use it according to His rules, you become Kadosh. Strength is also a good thing, if used the right way, because you need strength in order to study Torah. At the end of Masechet Sotah, I believe it is, says that a lot of things ended with certain tzaddikim. For example, there's no true anava. What's anava? Humility. There's no true humility in the world since the days of the death of Rabbi Kadosh. Once Rabbi Kadosh died, there was no more humility. There's humility, but not in those levels. It's a different world. Also it says there's no more Torah. There's no more Torah since the days of Rabban Gamliel. Why no more Torah? It says until Rabban Gamliel, from Moshe Rabbeinu, all the way to Rabban Gamliel, when you learn Torah, how you learn Torah? Standing up. Until Rabban Gamliel, you learn Torah, you learn standing up the whole time. Stand up for 3 days straight, 5 days straight, 5 hours straight. Learn Torah. That's how you learn Torah. Time Rabban Gamliel, after him, people started sitting down. That's what they called the yeshiva. That's what they called the yeshiva. Yeshiva. Why? Because they started sitting down. What are you sitting? Rabban Gamliel was standing for 3 days straight. Moshe Rabbeinu, 120 days straight, he's standing up. What are you sitting down? It's Torah. We're weak. We're weak. Kvod Harav, we're weak. We're weak. Your Torah is not the same. People get surprised. How do you teach Torah for 3 hours? You're standing up. How do you do it? Me do it. So now, Rabotai, strength is good. You need strength. You need strength to learn Torah. Because Torah is tiring, much more than manual labor. One of the Gdolim in Eretz Yisrael was building a yeshiva 40 years ago. And one of the days they didn't deliver the cement or something for the building, for the extension of the yeshiva, so the worker said, listen, Kvod Harav, we have nothing to do, but we got to get paid. Because they didn't bring the stuff, they didn't bring the cement, they didn't bring all the stuff that we need to work. We can't do anything, can't do any work, but we still need to get paid. We got up, we're here, we need to get paid. Rabbi said, no problem. I have you all day, right? He said, yeah. So, you work for me all day? Yeah, of course, but there's no stuff. No, but you work for me all day? Yes. Okay, come. Each one of you, learn Torah today. Learn Torah? I haven't learned Torah since I was a kid, 20 years ago. 5 years, what are you talking about? Torah? Because you know how to read? Yes. Tehillim? Yes. Okay, read Tehillim. Read Tehillim all day. You know how to read Chumash? You read Chumash. You read Chumash. You read Chumash. You read Tehillim. You read whatever you want. Just go sit down in my yeshiva, read. That's it. I'm going to pay you full salary like you're building the building. A half hour later, every one of these employees ran out. Like, Kvod Harav, we can't. Listen, I'm sorry. We can't. Don't pay us. We can't do it. Why? I'm tired. What? I'm tired. You build buildings. You build buildings. What do you mean you're tired? People think it's easy because you're sitting down or you're standing up or you're reading a book. It's easy. The reality is if you're really learning Torah, it's 50 million times more difficult than manual labor. If you're really learning Torah. If you're learning Torah like you read a book and, like you're laying down in your comfy pajamas under your comforter, you're not learning Torah. So, strength is something very, very important. It can be used for good. But at the same token, strength is something that can be used for bad. A person can become very, very arrogant due to their strength. A person can start becoming violent, becoming aggressive, take advantage of certain people. And today, there's something that's become apparently an epidemic in many schools called bullying, where these young kids get bullied by other kids in their school, and some of them get so desperate from all the bullying that they hurt themselves. They kill themselves or they hurt themselves in other ways because no one's doing anything about it, even if they know. And no one's doing anything about it because they don't know. But the reality is that this is, again, everybody's fault. It's impossible for nobody to know. Because I remember there was definitely a few kids that tried to pick on me. But as you see, my nature is not exactly someone to pick on. Even if you're 50 times bigger than me, I'm fighting back. I'll die fighting, I don't care. That was my mentality. So sometimes I'd have to jump and hit, but hey, you do what you gotta do. But I remember when I came to America, more than a few kids tried to pick on me. So after breaking a few teeth, they stopped picking on me. But I noticed that no one did anything, though. No one did anything. Well, there was one time, there was I was maybe 16 years old. 16 years old, and I got into a disagreement with this one loser, and he had his entourage with him, and they all decided to all fight me at the same time. 6, 7 kids at the same time. 8 kids, whatever it was. So I didn't win. But the most extraordinary thing that I think about is how come nobody else did anything? Like, stop them, tell them to stop, do something. No, everybody just sits there and watches. Fight, 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 fight. What fight? They're killing the kid. So all of these parents that are upset that their kid is being bullied, they're upset at the teachers, you should know, first and foremost, 90% of the time, if not more, the teacher doesn't know what's happening. Why? Because the teacher's busy teaching. He's not playing in the schoolyard or looking at every little corner to see who's beating up who. He's teaching, he's doing stuff, he has other things to do, he has other students. But the kids know. So if you want to fault the teacher, you have to fault the school too, for teaching the kids not to say anything when they see somebody else doing something wrong to another kid. The teachers are not at fault for not knowing. They're at fault for miseducating the kids. Where those kids see a kid being picked on, punched, hit, and so on, and they all laugh. And they all think it's funny. They all join in sometimes. That's what's wrong. It's not that the teachers didn't know. It's that the kids have become desensitized to the extent where them seeing another kid get picked on, get bullied, mentally, physically, verbally, whatever way possible, they're doing it and they don't do nothing. Why? Because this is mentality is what leads to mass murder. This is what leads to suicide. This is what leads to mental institutions. This horrible event that happened this past weekend where this terrorist killed a bunch of Muslims. 50 Muslims or something like that. Now, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of Muslims if they hate Jews. But if they don't hate Jews, I have no problems with them. They're not idol worshippers. And I have no problems with them. Some of them are actually pretty decent people. I have a good friend that's a Muslim. Now, this guy, if you can call him still a human being, what led him to do what he did? Now you could say, oh, he hated Muslims, oh, he hated this, oh, he hated that. No, I'll tell you what he did. I'll tell you exactly what led him to do what he did. Video games. Why? He videotaped the entire 16, 17 minutes horrible video, but he didn't videotape it like the other people in the, a few years ago did when they videotaped their stuff. Where they videotaped, they put the camera down, or they, no. He videotaped it in a way where this guy played video games. Why? Because he positioned this camera in a way where the camera is looking where he's looking. And it looks at the gun in a specific way, just like the video games look at the gun. When he changes ammunition, when he moves, when he this, it looks like a video game. He has killed so many fake people in the video game over the years that he's become desensitized to whether people are real or fake. Because he looks at everything from a camera. Same thing like he did in this event. This horrible mass murder. So who killed those people? His parents. His parents killed those people. His teachers killed those people. His environment killed those people. The video game company killed those people. That's who killed those people. It's not just this moron that did what he did. They were all partners to the crime. All of them. No, but we don't teach. We don't have the games to tell people to go kill. So, what do you try to teach the kids from killing games? What valuable lesson did anybody ever get from a killing game? Who's going to raise their hand? Oh no, I learned how to be a good soldier in the U.S. Army. Right, buddy. Sure. No, you become a murderer. by the time the kids get to their bar mitzvah, if you let them play these video games, by the time they get to their bar mitzvah, they've already made thousands of kills. They've literally become professional assassins. And if they continue playing these video games, they'll become desensitized to human beings, and eventually they will become very, very vicious people. Some will go to the extent of making mass murder. Some will just beat up on their wives. But the reality is, Rabotai, this strength is something that can be used for good or bad. Good, you can use it to learn Torah. You can stand here for 3 hours. Give a shiur for a few people that want to listen. Or, you can use it for a bad way. Wealth. Wealth is something that can be good and bad for obvious reasons. You can use your money for good things, like use the money that Hashem gave you to pay the necessities of your life and the extras to publicize Torah. Why? Because you have to fulfill your obligation to your nation. If you have extra money in the bank account, and there are people that are in your circle that don't have money to eat, don't have Torah to read, don't even know that they're supposed to fulfill the Torah, you, unfortunately, will be charged. Hashem gave you a tool. You must use that tool to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You don't need a $500,000 IRA account. Who says you're going to live to that time? You don't need 3 houses. You could only live in 1. You don't need 3 cars. You could only drive 1. You don't need all these extras. You're allowed to have the extras as long as you do extra with tzedakah, with maaser, for zikuei rabim, for KIRUV, for publicizing Torah. As long as you do extra there, have as much extra as you want with everything else. But the problem is that we spend all of the necessities on the necessities and the extras on stuff that's not really so much necessary. So you have a bunch of people that are high-income people, but nobody has any money for Torah. They have money to get a $1,000 a month car. They have money to go on a $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 trip to some place they're not even supposed to go to. They have money for a $10,000, $15,000, $25,000 watch. They have money for a house that's bigger than what they actually need. They have money for that. We tell them, listen, what about donating some money for KIRUV so people can do tshuva? Yeah, I'm having a tough month. What about donating some money so we can actually build a MUSSAR center? We need about $10 million to build a nice MUSSAR center so people can actually do tshuva. Yeah, you gotta go to millionaires for that. You gotta go to millionaires for that. No, it doesn't. I don't need to go to millionaires. I need to go to every single person that watches our shiurim, every single person that watches our shiurim donates $10. $10 for every shiur they watch. They watch 3-hour shiur. For a movie, they pay $20 for an hour. For a shiur Torah, $10 actually going to change their life. If every single person that watches shiur pays $10, by the way, we can buy 5 buildings every year. Not 1 building, 5 buildings. People from all over the world watch shiur Torah, but very, very few donate. Some people, Baruch Hashem, they donate. I have no complaints against them. They donate a lot more than $10. $100 and $1,000. There's no issues with them. Issues with everybody else. The other 99% that don't donate, 0. 500 questions a week they ask. If you paid $1 per question, we buy 10 buildings. But no. Why? Because everybody feels like, no, somebody else is doing it. The millionaires are paying for it. But they definitely make sure to come to me for money, though. Why? I say, listen, I have a yeshiva down the street from us. We're raising money for them. Can you donate a little bit? I said, you realize that we also live on donations, right? Yeah, so can you donate some of the money that people donate to you? Can you help me raise money for my shul? Can you help me raise money for my shiur? There's a group of guys says, listen, can you help us pay for a center so we can have this debate between this 25-year-old kid and this Christian guy and publicize it? Can you pay for the whole? I mean, it's nice that people think that I have so many billions of dollars, but honestly, I don't understand. I don't understand. How do you think what you think? And even if I did have money, like, why would you come to me? Out of all the people in the world. But anyway, he said, no, I saw your personal story. I said, no, you didn't. Why? Because at the end I say what actually happened. If you saw the whole story till the end, you know you're going to the wrong guy for money. Saw my whole story. It's my best. So anyway, wealth, Rabotai Karim, Baruch Hashem, we get plenty and give plenty. And alvai, we could always be the ones that give. But I find it hysterical that people think they give a lot of money. And because they give, I don't know, a few $100s a month or a few $1,000s a month, and they think, oh, I'm doing so much. And the reality is that, first and foremost, you should realize that unless you're giving at least maaser, you're not even fulfilling your obligation. Number two, even more so, if you're not giving to the right place, you're not fulfilling your obligation even if you're giving 90%. If you're giving 90% of your money to the wrong place, you're not fulfilling your obligation. Number three, you have a bunch of loser brothers and sisters that don't want to give, that are freeloaders. They want to benefit from the Torah, but don't want to pay for anything. Guess what? You have to make up for them too. Why? Who's going to do it then? They're not doing it. 20 hours a week of Shiur Torah they watch between me, Rav Mizrahi. Donation? $1 a year. Oh no, $18 for there's before the Kimcha de Pischa or something, for something they have to do. The best is when they say, listen, I sent a check. It never arrives. Never arrives. I sent a check. I sent the check. It's on the way. Never arrives. Now, listen, Parnasah comes from Shamayim. I just don't understand why they do that. Like, why, not only you're not giving, but you also lie about it too. You waste the guy's time. I don't understand that. Like, it's not enough that you're rude enough to take advantage of things, but you're lying too about it. I never understood that. So, it's very important to know that if Hashem gave you money, it's not just to buy more Twinkies. It's not just to buy nicer rims on your car or a bigger watch because the last one is only 3 times the size of your arm. It's also to publicize His Torah. Most people, that's the number one way that they could serve Hashem, their money. Why? Because they have no intention or inclination to become servers of Hashem by learning His Torah. They want to learn just enough to get by. Well, guess what? You can do that if you invest enough money to make sure that somebody else learns for you a lot more than what you learn for yourself. You can't do that if you get somebody else to do enough KIRUV for you, enough because of what you're not doing yourself. You can. You still have to do what you have to do, but you can pay for the stuff that's missing. But if you're not going to do enough on your own, and on top of it you're not going to donate, or what you're going to donate is going to be a joke in comparison to what you're supposed to. One rule that I learned about donations is that if it doesn't hurt, it's not enough. If donations become easy to you, that means you can pick it up a notch. So if, let's say, for example, you're giving, I don't know, $50 a week, or $50 a month, or $50 a year, whatever it is that you're giving. If when you give it, it's easy, make it 55. Yeah, but then I'm not going to be able to do the math, because my accounting on my Excel spreadsheet, it won't add up. I'll be missing $5. Exactly. I'm not saying make it 3,000. 50, 55. Why? Let the emunah muscles work a little bit. How's the $5 going to come up with? That's Hashem's problem. It's supposed to hurt a little bit. A little bit, though. Some people go extreme. They make themselves poor. Now, if you are a Tana, like Rabbi Chizda, hey, you could do it. Some of the Tanaim, some of the Chachamim in the Gemara, literally they would give everything away, to the extent that the poor people would run away from them because they would feel bad. Every time I see these guys, he gives me everything in his house. I feel bad already. I'm the poor guy, and he's making me rich, he's becoming poor. But we're not like that. Not to hurt yourself. We're not at that level. The key is to know that you're supposed to give. If you give, you're doing yourself a service. If you don't give, you're hurting yourself. We're almost done for tonight. There's going to be obviously another one or at least one, maybe two more lectures about this Mishnah. The next one is honor. Kavod. Kavod is a powerful force for good and bad, obviously. A person can use their kavod, their honor, in order to publicize Torah. In order to show people, listen, if I do it, obviously you should do it. If I'm not doing it, you shouldn't do it. Why? That's the way the world works. That's why Shlomo Melech explains that when an old person makes a sin, it's much worse than a young person makes a sin. Why? Because when a young person makes a sin, the people that are a little bit wise, even if they're young, but they have a little bit of brain, they say, this guy's crazy. Yeah, he's crazy. That's what he did. He's crazy. He's young and crazy. But when they see an old man making a sin, they see an old man going to the bar, an old man going to the casino, an old man gambling in his life away, cheating on his wife, an old man cheating on customers, like, wow, he must know what he's doing, this old man. Why? He's here for since the days of Antiochus. So he must know what he's doing by now, no? So the old man, the old woman that makes a sin, it's not the same weight. It's much, much worse. Because people view their sin as, this must be right. They become Machtia Rabin. They become a person that causes other people to sin. So, the honor that they get because they're old is hurting them. Because they're misusing the honor. If they were using the honor the right way, by saying, listen, I'm 60 years old and I'm going to the Shiur at 9 o'clock at night. I'm 60 years old and I'm retired and I'm giving tzedakah. Even though I live off of Social Security, even though I live off of barely every month, I'm still giving whatever I can. I'm 60 years old and I'm learning Torah every single day, even though I've been learning Torah for 60 years. I'm still learning every day. I'm 60 years old and I am learning MUSSAR every day, and so on and so forth. You tell this to the young ones around you, even if they're younger than you by a day, they're still considered young. And they're going to look at you like, yeah, old man must know what he's talking about. And you can become a Mezakeh Rabin. That honor that Hashem has given you because of age, you use for good. This is what magnifies the tragedy for people like Dweck and Mervis and Sachs and Goldberg and all of these Erev Rav. Because even if they didn't want to be Erev Rav, even if they didn't want to be people that cause the masses to sin, they are. Why? People view what they do as allowed. If you're the rabbi and you're doing it, it must be allowed. Not only are you a religious figure, you're an authority figure too. You're in the government. You're the head of the Bedin in Florida. You're the head of a something in, I don't know, wherever he is, Dweck. You're the head of something. People think that you're somebody. So if you join a board of directors befriending a bunch of missionaries, publicizing the false testament, teaching or allowing the teaching of the false testament in our yeshivot, telling people that it's perfectly fine to be homosexual, it's just you were born that way. Therefore you should stay that way. Why don't you tell them you were born naked, so you should stay naked? Why do you have clothes on? You were born naked. Or when next time you get a tooth pain like I had last week before the wonderful surgery. You were born with a toothache. Stay with it. Why use treatment? Why have a surgery? You have pain? Stay with the pain. You were born this way. You were born not knowing how to speak. Stay not knowing how to speak. Just stay saying goo goo gaga. Boy, it's a perfectly nice vocabulary. It's the most ridiculous, absurd nonsense in the world. You're born this way. Even the animal evolves. Even the animal adapts to its environment. Once the mouse knows that the cheese is not in this route, it goes a different route. Doesn't say, oh, I kept going, kept going, kept going. No, it's going to go somewhere else. Why? Because it's adapting to its environment. It's changing. Once you realize you're not allowed to do certain things because Hashem said no, stop, go somewhere else. Yeah, I don't like it. Too bad, you'll get to like it over time. But to tell people that sinning against Hashem is okay, and not only that, publicize it that it's okay. Oh, and the best part yet, I forgot. He told people of London to pray for the soccer team. He told them to read Hallel after they won, and then he went and wrote actually on the internet that he admires, like he looks up to the coach of this Goyish soccer team. That's who he looks up to. Like, remember I told you I went to yeshiva and I told them, how many kids want to be Moshe Rabbeinu? Nobody raised their hand. How many kids want to be LeBron James? Everybody raised their hand? No, I know where they got it. Mervis. Why? Mervis himself says, who does he want to be? He wants to be a soccer coach. He admires the soccer coach. He doesn't say he admires Moshe Rabbeinu. He doesn't say he admires Rabbi Akiva. Who does he admire? He admires the soccer coach. He tells his kehillah to pray for them. Rabotai Karim, you have to know, even if you didn't want the world to sin, if you caused them to sin, the sin's on you. Sin's on you. So the kavod that Hashem gave you, He gave you the position of being head rabbi, head of a community, head of a division in a company, head of, I don't know, your own kitchen, head of a family. If the rest of the people around you fail because of what you're doing, you are a partner. Like anything else in life. Let's not fool ourselves. So instead of putting ourselves in such a vulnerable stage, let's just watch our own actions, monitor ourselves, make sure that we tread carefully ourselves. Watch what we say, watch what we type on the internet, watch what we listen to. Somebody wants to say Lashon Hara to you, says, listen, you know what? I'm busy. What are you busy with? I'm busy not making sins. Why? Listening to Lashon Hara is a sin. Believing Lashon Hara is a bigger sin. What do you think? It's just the guy that talks about Lashon Hara? No. The one that listens also is a loser lama. So, people need to be careful. It's very easy to lose a lama. No need though. Just follow the instructions and you'll win. That's what Hashem wants you to do. He wants you to win. Purim is a time to celebrate. But celebrate not being one of those people. That's Erev Rav. Learn the Torah. Learn what you're supposed to do. Check yourself. B'ezrat Hashem, the Alon HaKodesh, our newsletter, is coming out either later tonight or tomorrow morning, B'ezrat Hashem. So look out for it. It'll be on the website. It'll be on the Facebook page, WhatsApp groups, and so on. So look out for it. There's a special treat in this Alon HaKodesh that... people that read Hebrew and English, then you obviously always able to read all of it. But many people always are upset that they can't read Rabbi Ephraim's stuff because he writes some really amazing things. So this one, he has one that he did only in Hebrew, and then there's one in English. And we got the one in English from one of the projects that B'ezrat Hashem is working on for the last 2.5 years, which is translating his three of his books. 3 of his books called Doresh Tov. We're translating it to English. So we took one of the parts that's about Purim and made it into an article. So you'll see that. It's a very, very interesting article. A few nice chidushim, nice things to know. Short and sweet. So you have that. You have mine in English. You have a bunch of other stuff in Hebrew. Also a couple of special thank yous. So Hashem, look out for it. It'll be interesting. And most importantly, make sure that you spend this holiday with your family. You know, don't be busy with all the other mundane stuff. Try to do as much as possible with your family. If you have kids, spend some time with your kids. If you don't have kids, don't call me because I have kids. I'll be busy tomorrow. And it's not my fault you don't have kids. There's other Hashem, you get kids. But please, if I don't answer your text messages tomorrow, just know it's because I am doing mishloach manot and costumes. But anyway, that's the fun part. You get to be silly with your kids for a day or two. But tomorrow is a fast. Tomorrow is a fast. It's a very easy fast. Starts in the morning, ends at night, and right after it you eat, and then you go hear Megillat Esther. Now, if you are pregnant or you just completed a pregnancy, you don't need to fast. Now, if you feel sick, this is also, if a woman feels sick or a man feels sick, also it's a very lenient thing. If you get to a point where you're not capable of functioning, this is one of those fasts where you could be lenient. But if you're perfectly strong but just lazy, or you're just one of these people that has an appetite the size of the equator, then learn how to fast. It's good for you. But again, don't become one of these people that's like deactivated. Like you fast and you pretty much just sleep in bed all day. Don't fast. If that's what you become, don't fast. Don't fast tomorrow. It's better off you eat a steak and learn Torah. Don't be one of these people you fast, you think that you're a Tzadik or a Tzadika because you fast all day, but you're in bed all day under your comforter, watching lectures. Hey, Rabbi Mizrahi, yeah, you're on. Yeah, I'm a Tzadik, yeah, Rabbi, I'm a Tzadik, look at my pillow. It's nice, right? That's not a fast. That's not a fast. I'm going to text, Rabbi Mizrahi, what did you say on this lecture? Yeah, I can't get to the book now. I'm laying in bed. I'm fasting. I'm a tzaddik. I'm fasting. That's not fasting. Fasting is you have to be functional. It's hard. Hard to be functional and fast, but this is one of those fasts. It's good for practice. It's good. Anyway, fast. Hear the Megillah. Recommendation for anyone that wants to take it. If your community has two options of hearing the Megillah, one with the groggers, one without the groggers. Where they make a noise every time that they say the word Haman. Some people, make a lot of noise. In Israel, it's worse. In Israel, they have firecrackers. They take this firecracker called M80, and they blow it up in some synagogues every time they say Haman. It becomes like a bomb threat, practically, in some of these places. So anyway, in America, it's not like that in most places. Most places, they just make a lot of noise. I personally don't find it too amusing. But my recommendation is if you have an option, groggers, no groggers, go to no groggers. And the reason why is because the Megillah, if you miss a word, you're wasting your time listening to the rest of it. You have to listen to the whole thing all over again. That's why, number one, bring one with you. Bring one with you so you can read along. Or go to a place that has them. And number two, don't go to a place that has the groggers. Sometimes the groggers go too long. They don't just go for Haman. They go for Haman, for Mordechai, for Achashverosh, for Esther, for the 10 sons of Haman. They go the whole time. They're just constantly making noise. Then you can't hear anything. Or you miss a few words here and a few words there, and it becomes a big disaster. So if you have an option, go to the time where there's no groggers, if you can. If you can, you can. But like I said, if you have options, take them. So that's one too. You have to listen. Men and women have to listen to the Megillah at night and in the morning. Another recommendation is if you have young kids that do not know how to sit and be quiet because they're kids, not because they're bad kids, but simply because they're kids, do not bring them. Do not bring them to the shul. Why? No one needs to suffer because your kids are still being kids. Leave them home. Why? Because if your kids make noise, they start crying, they want to play, they want a binky, they want to whatever they want, and they make noise, and somebody else misses 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences because of your kid, guess what? You're making a sin. So unless your kid is grown enough to be quiet and sit just like an adult, don't bring them. Don't bring them. Why? Because it's more trouble than it's worth. So, and I know you're going to say, yeah, but everybody else bring their kids. Let them be sinners. Let them all jump off a bridge. Does that mean that you have to jump off a bridge? You do what you have to do. So, Megillah you have to listen to morning and at night and in the morning. Mishloach manot and matanot le'evyonim. These are two different things. Mishloach manot, you have to give, men have to give to 2 people, the wife has to give to 2 people. Okay? I'm sorry, 1 and 1. The matanot le'evyonim also, the gift to the poor also 1 and 1. Okay, so it's 2 different things. I mean, it can be the same package, but nonetheless, it's 2 different things. You have to give 2, your wife has to give 2. If you're single, obviously you just give yourself. The mishloach manot, I know people like to give candy and Twizzlers and stuff like that, and you can, but you have to give something that's the equivalent of a meal. So make sure that the mishloach manot includes mezonot and something to drink. You can include as much candy and toys as you want, but if it doesn't have mezonot and something to drink, then it's a waste. So you could put a cake, a cupcake, I don't know. But if you're bringing, if you're cooking, if you're making it, only give what you're making to people that know you really, really well. Don't give your home cooking to people that don't know you well. Why? Because then they're not going to eat it, and it goes to waste because they don't know if they can rely on your kashrut. And don't put people on the spot. Tell them, no, I'm kosher, I'm badatz. It's like the badatz is in my house. No, don't put people on the spot. If you're going to give people your own cooking, it should only be family and immediate, really, really close friends that have eaten in your house before. If you don't know the people and you're giving them mishloach manot, then give them packaged food. Something that's still in the package. Not something that's open. Don't give them an open cupcake that you took a bite out of. You know, that's no good either. And don't tell them, no, it's a sgulat to share. It's a sgulat to share. So, mishloach manot, you have to give. The matanot le'evyonim you have to give. And also bring some money with you to shul. If you're rich, bring whatever you have. If you're poor, bring some singles. And give to every person that asks you. You don't have to give $1 million. Give them $1, $2, whatever it is, but give to every single person that asks you. Why? This is a segula in this particular holiday that if you give without even calculating, you just give, you give to whoever is in front of you, then you will get rewarded handsomely in parshah that year. But giving without even calculating, don't say, oh, listen, I gave you, and the guy says, no, come on, I need $2, and you're like, no, give generously. If you have the ability, give generously. If you're one of the poor people, then you're one of the poor people. What are you going to do? But if you're able to give, then give very generously. But only people that are in front of you. Not if like the whole world starts, if they watch this lecture, and now they're going to start texting you. Hey, Rabbi, you said that you give to everybody that asked you. 75,000 text messages on WhatsApp. Give me Bill Gates. We asked you, give me. Listen, you give it to everybody. No. Only people you see. They're there. You give it to them. Obviously, if you want to give to one of these drives that's on the internet, whether it's somebody that's looking to get married, or a KIRUV organization, or whatever, yeshiva that has a special drive during that day, you want to give them, but it's important to give to people that are around you, even more so on this day than blindly. If you don't have anybody to give and you want us to give for you, then you can send us the money to Bezrat Hashem. Baruch Hashem, that's part of what we do every month anyway, not just on Purim. We send money to Yerushalayim every month. Baruch Hashem, the money keeps going higher and higher, and Bezrat Hashem will continue going higher, so we send money. If anybody wants to, doesn't know who to give, or wants to give, you can send it to us, tell us that you wanted to give, and we'll do it, no problem. As far as costumes, it's make sure that you wear, a costume that's decent if you're going to wear a costume. Kids should wear a costume. It's very fun for them. You should give them a good time. Even if you can't buy a costume, you can make a costume. Sometimes the homemade costumes are much better than the stuff you buy. Take a piece of paper, make it into a circle, put some triangle on it, make it into a crown. Honey, you're a king. That's it. That's what we did as kids. Make another 2 squares, tie it with a string. Honey, you're a Ninja Turtle. That's it. Whatever. Make something for them if you don't have the money. Everybody can wear something. Kids need to enjoy Judaism. Kids need to enjoy it. Make them something. Yeah, I'm running out of time. Okay, so spend tonight doing it. You have to give the kids a good time. They have to wear costumes. Adults, on the other hand, make sure you wear costumes that are appropriate. Sometimes you see women wearing these mamash disaster of a costume. They look like mamash prostitutes. And they think they're making a mitzvah. They're walking chilul Hashem. They're going to go to Gehinnom extra for this. So don't be one of these stupid people that makes this sin. Do not go to these parties with mixed dancing, with DJ David from Hollywood, and all of these jokesters that call themselves Jews and say that they're giving a Purim party for the Israelis. Giving a Purim party, guys, come, on his Facebook page. Never believe it. So, don't be one of these jokesters. DJ David is not going to help you in Gehinnom, because he's going to be in there also. And every DJ that has these parties is going to be there also. Don't be stupid. Get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's good you laugh. Good I made you laugh. But I'm serious too. Any questions?
I do have.
Howard.
Okay, in regards to the example of mixed wedding,
Okay.
Okay, so as soon as a person decides in thought to attend to the wedding, to the
Mixed dance wedding?
yeah,
Okay.
he has created a demon before attending, yes?
Not as much. No, I mean, it's just as he thought about it and he decided to do it, then he's already preparing himself. It's called a petach hatat rovetz. He's leaving an opening for the Yetzer. Because now that he decided to make this sin, then even though he hasn't made the sin yet, now the Yetzer is, the door is open. So the Yetzer is going to start giving him other thoughts. Listen, since you're already going to go, you should get a brand new dress that's practically nothing. Since you're already going to go, you should do this, you should do that. So already he starts creating demons through other actual sins. But the thought itself is not the sin per se that makes the demon, but it's just that it's the opening that will lead to many other sins even before he gets to the party. By doing different things. He's going to call he doesn't want to go there alone. So he's going to call some girl.
So it's like a domino effect.
Exactly.
And,
else?
excuse me, sorry. In the name of the rabbi about the shiurs of Gehinnom.
Oh, Rabbi Meir Eliyahu. Rabbi Meir Eliyahu. Israeli rabbi, very big Talmid Chacham. I don't believe, I know he speaks English. I mean, he lived here for, I think, 10, 15 years. But I don't think he has any shulim in English. He may have some shulim with subtitles. He may have some shulim with subtitles, maybe. But not those shulim, no, not those. Not the Gehinnom ones. No. The Gehinnom ones, even in Hebrew, it's hard to understand because you're too busy trying to hold your heart in place. By the way, I think I've told you guys this before. I mean, a lot of times people, they listen to shulim and that's scary and it doesn't affect them. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. If it doesn't affect you, if the scary stuff doesn't affect you, it's not a good thing. It's not something to be proud of. It means you have a very thick klipa. You have to work on yourself. So it's not necessarily a good thing. But there's certain people, for example, why I say this, because some people, they watch things that are graphic and it doesn't bother them. It's not a good thing. If you're numb to certain things that other people are sensitive to, it's not necessarily a good thing. Most of the time, it's not a good thing at all. So you should check yourself to see why you numb. Why you numb? Why doesn't it affect you that people are dying in the street? Why doesn't it affect you that certain things are happening? So that's it. The Seder B'ezras Hashem will be next year. Will be on Sunday at the Sunny Owls location. Then Tuesday back over here, and then Wednesday we're back to I think I have no idea. We'll check on the internet. Seder Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.